Hey, I'm pop culture artist Jaime Coker. You might know me from my Villainous Villains series or a Comic Con near you. And I'm here to tell you that your childhood was trash if you didn't watch G.I. Joe.
Welcome to Your Childhood Was Trash, the podcast where we explore the pop culture touchstones that shaped our guests' childhoods. From movies and TV shows to video games and toys, we'll cover it all. My name's Mike, and I'm here with my co-host Nick. And in every episode, we're joined by a special guest who shares their favorite childhood property with us and discusses how it influenced their life.
Oh my gosh, G.I. Joe, man. It was like, okay, so when I was a kid, I was like, there was definitely the holy, trinity of action figures and cartoons that you watched. There was He-Man, there was G.I. Joe, there was Masters of the Universe, and Star Wars too. But we'll put that in later. Anyway, so with those three, it was like I was hook, line, and sinker. I would watch those cartoons like religiously. I was so into like the storylines and everything like that. And the funny thing is, when you get older and you go back and you revisit those things, you often are like, man, like you have it like in a pedestal. You're like, man, G.I. Joe is awesome, awesome. And then you go back and you watch some of those old cartoons, and you're like, wow, some of the colors kind of shift here and there, and why is Snake Eyes all of a sudden pink? That kind of thing. Like just the inconsistency. But just the feeling it gave you watching those shows was so awesome. Like the characters were incredible. I love the character designs. When I was a kid, I don't think I respected what they did with Serpentor quite enough. But now that I'm older and I revisit it, I'm like, Serpentor was a pretty kick-ass dude. And I mean, like, Cobra Commander, he strides that same line as Skeletor. He's dangerous, but he's also comedic. He's that guy that's like that's and then he's like he's running like running away because he's lost again.
Screaming retreat.
Exactly. And like and then there was always the Baroness who had that accent. You're like, where is she from? And then I loved Destro. Destro was like my dude, man. He was just too cool. He's like, yes, my precious commander, and all this other stuff. And then you had Storm Shadow, who was awesome. The ninja who's just like, oh, and he's just like swinging the sword. And I mean, that dude was cutting columns with a sword. I mean, this guy is badass,
It's a sharp blade.
Yeah, and the thing is this. I loved, like, obviously the cartoons back then were just giant advertisements for the toys.
Oh, of course.
I mean, like, so when I would watch a cartoon, I'd be like, oh, what's that vehicle? Oh, I got to have mom take me to the toy store to pick that up. And man, I can't tell you how many times I'd see something on the show. We'd go to the toy store, and then I'd be like, Mom, can I get an advance on my allowance to get this one? And then she'd be like, no. So it was, G.I. Joe was just, it was like everything to me when I was a kid. I just loved so much of it. And, aside from the villains, I have to give some due to the heroes. Duke was a stand-up guy. Snake Eyes was badass. There was no messing with Snake Eyes. But also, then you got a guy like Shipwreck, who like sounds like he's trying to be like a weird Jack Nicholson-y kind of voice, but he's also like, he's like, just like really cool, but like, I like you, but you're weird. And then, but I don't know if you guys liked Quick Kick. Quick Kick was one of my favorite characters. And I was just like, how come this guy isn't on the show more? And just watching these characters interact with each other was really, really cool. And I'll admit, I was one of those guys that when I watched the cartoon, I was like, wow, Lady J is amazing. That's what it was. I liked the Baroness, but Lady J was like, she had that raspy voice and the short hair.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, she's so cool. And then I got the toy and I'm like, this doesn't look like the cartoon.
No,
like,
what's this hat doing on her?
Yeah, it's like, what is this weird hat?
Like
and this lime green outfit or whatever. Oh, I hated it. I hated it so much. But I loved Flint. Flint was my dude. I think he was my favorite one of all of them. I loved Flint. got the straps with the bullets on it and the beret, and he was just like so gung ho and everything like that. Man,
Yeah,
he's
but
so cool.
not gung ho, just a vest on and a nice
Oh yeah, and the tattoo.
It was
Yeah.
somebody else.
Yeah. Oh man, you guys have opened up like a Pandora's box of my love for GI Joe here, man. It's kind of scary.
Right.
It's kind of
That's
scary.
one of the funny things for me is as a kid, I had so many GI Joes. That was the beauty is you could get a figure for under $2.
Yeah.
And they were
Yeah.
packed out full of accessories and just the whole open world that you can discover with GI Joe.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh.
Like they followed at least our era of GI Joe. They followed the Star Wars mantra of we're going to make them, 3 3/4.
Yep.
But as iconic as the Star Wars figures are, I don't think they could shake a stick at what GI Joe did with the play sets and the vehicles.
Oh.
They just took Star Wars concept and leaned into it with the play factor. And
Dude,
I had vehicles upon vehicles upon vehicles when I was a kid, and figures.
You could bend their arms, man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
right? Like you could bend their arms. You
Exactly.
could turn them backwards.
Yes. Yes. It's like I can swivel. Ooh.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You're now facing backwards. Right? Like you had that little. They had the little rubber band on the inside, so you can kind of like twist them backwards. But then if you kept trying it, like snapped it back, and it was like, no, you can't.
Oh.
I'm not an owl, man.
Wasn't that the saddest thing when you had a GI Joe and that rubber band snapped?
Oh yeah.
Oh, I had a friend on
Yeah.
my block. He would take those, and he was a little punk, but he would just twist them and keep twisting them until they like spun back around, and then you would look in the corner of his room, and in the corner of the room were all the half pieces of the GI Joes that finally broke.
Man,
Yeah.
yeah, which is kind of odd. It's like, oh, there's a torso, there's a pair of legs, there's a crotch.
So sad. I was like,
I think I broke one, and I was like, all right, well, I learned the limits of that.
Yeah.
I can do it a couple times, but then after that, I'm like, I'm going to break it.
Oh, yeah.
My issue is I would always break the thumbs off.
Oh,
like jamming the guns in and stuff.
Yes.
That would always like break my heart when I was a kid because it's like there's no fixing that. There's no coming back from that. Yeah.
Just like, oh, well, he's not holding the gun anymore, so I try to get creative and grab a rubber band.
And now he knows
put the rifle around his wrist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's Snake Eyes' apprentice.
Oh yeah. Oh,
he's gonna come and cup your ears.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't want to punch him in the ears.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh my gosh.
Did you have a lot of figures as a kid?
Oh my gosh, I had so many. But I'll tell you what, I think the vehicles, on your point, was actually maybe a better experience than the figures. Because the vehicles, you got to put it together. You got to put the decals on. You got to kind of almost like create it a little bit. Like you had a little authorship into how it was finally going to look. Yeah. So you were just kind of like, oh man, this is kind of cool. It's like, okay, I know this is not everyone's favorite vehicle, but I loved the Havoc because it had the little ship that came out of the little doors that came out in the back, and the little ship came out and you could fly it around and stuff.
That was super cool.
I hated the figure that came with it because he looked like a melty Harrison Ford face or something like that. He did. He looked like a weird melty Harrison Ford. And he had that hat and everything. Cross Country, I think was his name.
Okay, yeah.
Definitely not my favorite. Definitely not my favorite figure. But when I would play with him, he'd always be one of the first to die. Like, oh, Cross Country's dead. Oh, he gets over there now.
Whoops.
Yeah. But I would even use my Star Wars toys to cross over with the GI Joe stuff. Yeah. Yeah, because it's for the same scale, pretty much.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, Star Wars characters got to land on Earth at some point.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Exactly. Oh man.
Star Wars was a long time ago, so maybe it's the same universe, and just GI Joe was modern times.
Perhaps. Yeah. I did love some of the play sets I couldn't get when I was a kid. There's the tactical battle platform, which basically kind of reminded me for some reason of like an oil rig that was like out in the middle of the ocean or something. And
Yeah.
Okay, so like I think it was like I want to say 15 years ago ish. Back when eBay was like eBay.
Yeah,
Man, I
when it
hunted
meant
down all those.
something.
Yeah, I hunted down all those old Start GI Joe stuff because I'd given them away when I got oh, I don't play with toys anymore. I'd give them away to these kids, and then back then, like 15 or so years ago, I was like, huh, I wonder if they have GI Joes on eBay, and I went nuts. Oh man,
Yeah,
I got stuff I never even had as a kid, and I was
Oh, of
just,
course.
oh yeah, and they're all put away now. But that now, if you look down in my drawing area, I don't know if you guys have seen the GI Joe Classified series,
oh yeah.
but I think I own basically every single one, and I
I
have
don't know how
multiple.
much you could see.
Oh wow, oh yeah, and I have multiples too. So
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, it's ridiculous.
Did you
Yeah,
back the hiss?
of course, and I backed the
Just one?
Dragonfly too.
I can't get behind the dragonfly.
Yeah,
I like it. I just that's like 3 feet long. I have no place to put it.
I know, I know. Well, you can hang it from the ceiling like it's flying around.
Yeah.
On
Even though
on a fishing wire or line,
I
whatever.
will, I'll kick my ass if that's the only way to get Wild Bill though. That would piss me off because
I
I
know.
had I had Wild Bill as a kid and the Dragonfly as a kid,
Hmm.
and I love that figure. I don't know
Yeah.
why, but if that's the only way to get him, I'm gonna be so upset.
Well, secondary market, you might get him that way, but he's going to cost a pretty penny. But
He'll probably cost half the price of the Dragonfly.
yeah, maybe. Did you guys
Yeah.
see
Of course.
the new tier for the Dragonfly that came out that was revealed?
Glenda,
So, Glenda, what is that? What is that? I know she's
Uh,
from the comic or something,
yeah,
but
deep cut.
my whole thing is like, you actually want people to like, you know, back this thing, right? She should be like, she should, because most people, I guarantee most people have no idea who she is. I
Yeah,
think I think she's kind of like the bonus throw in once you've hit all the other tiers. But oh yeah, yeah. By the way, guys, here's Glenda. Have fun with it.
yeah.
you know,
For
That
the
should have
5
been
people who probably want this.
yeah.
that should have been like, hey, we got 16,000 backers. We blew through all the unlocks, and now we're at 20,000. Here's Glenda. That's
Yeah,
what that should have been like, just a throw in. Because if you look at her sculpt, that's a
yeah,
classic Scarlet right there.
uh, yeah,
Right? If you look at her, she's got like the bathing suit. She's got the stars on the gloves and stuff. That's gonna get repainted. We're gonna see
uh,
that mold as Scarlet at
uh,
some point. Which I'm dying for a good Scarlet because I don't like.
yeah,
I bought the first one and then I bought the field variant one, which is the toned down colors,
yeah,
and that figure's still just junk.
yeah, yeah.
I'm not a fan of that design. So
Like, isn't it interesting how like as GI Joe fans we're so attached to the original designs of the characters? Like when the classified series was relaunched and they had these weird like communication dials and the gold accents and everything, people were just
yeah,
like, no.
yeah.
Like,
See, I'm okay with the communicators because even some of the newer figures have them like designed
yeah,
into it, and
yeah,
it fits. But yeah, the gold stuff and no, which is funny too because when I was a kid, I liked like I was more into like the Joes in the '90s, right? So neon
oh yeah,
colors, Eco Warriors,
yeah,
DEF, all that stuff, and that was cool. And as I got older, and like the 25th anniversary line came out and the 30th anniversary, I was like, these are cool, but I want more realistic military looking.
yeah,
And now that in my late 30s and Classified comes out, I'm like, I want a real American hero, just modern,
yeah,
just
yeah,
give me what I remember as a kid
yeah.
in this awesome 6-inch form that's fully articulated. And that's kind of where I'm at right now. So I definitely like my taste for GI Joe has completely evolved, and apparently Hasbro's evolving with me because they're giving me exactly what I want now, including a Cobra Eel, which was one of my favorite characters as a
Oh,
kid. I'm
I
so
love
excited for that.
I love the eel. Love the eel. That was one
It
of the
looks so
figures
good.
that I watched my neighbor break right in front of me, and it
Oh
just it
no.
just broke my heart. Like, what are you doing? And you just see the snap. I just saw the
Oh,
snap, and I saw his backpack fly off. I was
oh
like,
no.
wow, that's a tragedy.
Yeah, that's heartbreaking.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Especially with your favorite figure. I'm still so out of all the figures, who was your favorite?
Oh man. Okay, favorite figures. Whew. Okay, Flint was probably. I want to say Flint was probably number one, or Snake Eyes version 2. The more like the big visor one.
Okay.
Is one of those two was number one. Uh, Strangely enough, I loved Storm Shadow on the cartoon, but the figure a lot of times the painted version of his face, the eyes were like painted really weird, and
Yeah. Okay.
I hated it. Plus, the white of his outfit a lot of times would discolor, or if it
Yeah.
got like dirty or anything like that, it was never the same.
You're like,
So
yeah, done.
yeah, or I don't know if this happened to you guys too. He had those white bracelets, and they would get scratched up so easily,
Okay.
or the black on his sash and belt would chip up real bad, or the
Jeez, it's
Cobra
just
symbol would wipe right off. There's always one of
yeah.
those
I could see
things.
I could see the symbol wiping off. Yeah. I never had that one. I had the Ninja Force one with the hood and the black and white.
Oh
When he
yeah,
was
yeah, yeah,
technically a GI Joe at that point. That's what I
yeah.
had. I like that. Which is another thing too. As a kid, love the ninjas. As an adult, I don't want them.
Yeah. See, okay. See, when it comes to GI Joe, I am I am all about a certain time period. I am
Yeah.
from. I've opened it up a little bit to like the first round of the Real American Hero toys when they were just wearing green, and they had
Yeah.
just had a green helmet, and Hawk was with his missile defense system.
Yeah.
I'm up until about 80. I'm a fan of it up until about 86, 87. Then it got a little too weird for me. Like
Okay.
the last round of figures that I liked were like Psych Out or
Yeah.
Sci-Fi. Well, I love Sci-Fi. Sci-Fi is definitely in my top 10.
Yeah. He's
Um,
cool.
I like Chuckles too. I don't know
Yeah.
why. A guy in a Hawaiian shirt. What can go wrong?
You're getting a
Um,
chuckle,
Why
son.
are you here? How are you going to protect yourself?
yeah,
Magnum.
yeah. And all he had was a one little pistol. But um, once it started getting to the point where everything was like neon colored or
Yeah.
like the Ninja Force, I was just like, okay, I think this is my time to bow out. I
Yeah.
really do. Like,
Yeah. So
yeah,
you never got into like the Deke series?
no, no,
Yeah.
it just didn't really do anything for me. I felt it was weird. Like I know that they redesigned Sergeant Slaughter, um, and some other things, and I don't know. It just didn't feel the same. It really
Yeah.
did not feel the same. Um, oh, okay. So top 5 figures. I'll run that. I'll just have real quick before losing my train of thought again.
All right.
Flint is. I'm gonna put Flint at number 1. Snake Eyes version 2, number 2. Number 3, I'm gonna put probably Destro. 4, I'm gonna go Quick Kick. 5, I'm gonna go. I almost want to go by who I played with the most.
It's a fair reasoning.
Yeah, I mean it's tough because some characters you just like for what you think they are, like based on their file card and the cartoon versus what
Yeah.
they look like. Um, huh. Strangely enough, Dreadnoks. I'm doing them as a collective because
Yeah.
I'll be honest,
You
I
have
can't
to.
really choose one over another.
Yeah.
It's really hard, man. Like
Yeah.
the Thunder Machine, Chef's
With
Kiss. Love that toy.
with Thrasher. Oh yeah.
Love that thing.
Yes.
I even liked Road Pig.
Yeah. How can he not? Right? He's got a cinder block on a metal pipe that he's gonna smash over the head with. Like
I
that's
know.
so cool. See, for me, like I think Dreadnoks when I was a kid were like up here.
Oh yeah.
Even as an adult, they're up here, right?
Yes.
Like I think it's Buzzer and Ripper have been
Yeah.
announced to be coming out classified. I can't wait.
Yep.
I already got one of my favorites in the Alley Viper. When I was a kid,
yeah.
I love the Alley Vipers. But I'm sure I would get a lot of flack for this, but my all-time favorite character that I want like an updated version of so bad is from the Deke series. Because I was born 84, so
Okay.
I was later on. 90s were more my thing with
Yeah.
a lot, even though 80s is like right in my heart.
Yeah.
Captain Gridiron.
I remember him.
Nothing like a badass guy in football gear, like throwing
Yeah.
football shaped grenades and stuff. Like it's just so cool.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
I want him, and I really, as a kid, I always wanted the battle armor Cobra Commander, and I never had that
Oh,
one.
version 2 with the silver.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he had like the hose coming from like there to here or something.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
That
okay.
one. That was
Yeah.
also, I think, the Deke version. I always wanted him as a kid, never got him. I had the stupid hooded one. Yeah.
I don't know. Actually, that was version 3 then, because there was the hooded one, the shield face, and then the battle
Yes.
armor one. Yes.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
There's so many versions. It's hard to
I
keep
know.
up.
Oh man, they're all so good though. They're all so
Uh,
good. I love them all.
they are. They
Yeah.
are, and the cast of characters is just so broad.
Yeah. I will say, I almost forgot one of my favorite storylines. I don't know why I thought this was great as a kid. I loved the story between Zarana and Mainframe when they were like a couple or something like that. Like it was like a Romeo and Juliet type thing on the original cartoon.
Okay.
I don't know why I was like so enamored with it, but I just thought it was one of like the greatest things ever. I don't know. Maybe it was a preparation for me in professional wrestling. Who knows? But I was just like, I was really into it. It's like, oh, she's in love with him. He likes her, but they're like, I don't know. So when I had the Mainframe toy and I had the Zarana toy, I always put them in that relationship, and they were like, trying to run away from everyone else. It was bizarre.
Nice. I never caught that one.
That's
It's
deeper
funny.
than me, man.
Yeah, right.
It was a weird time.
I had VHS tapes. That's how I watched a lot of it. So I had like Countdown for Zartan. I saw like 100 times, or Operation Dragonfly, and all that. So that's what I watched over and over again. Was those, and I don't remember that. Even though I'm pretty sure I watched most, because that's the thing that sucked as a kid too, right? Like you would miss so much, right? It's not like nowadays, or even when you could literally set your VCR, because sometimes it would be on at this time, then it'd be on at this time, and it never stayed consistent. And how many times do you set your VCR to record at 6:00 and it recorded at 7? You're like, God damn it, as a kid. So, I missed so many episodes as a kid. Whereas now as adults, I think we're a little overprivileged where we can consume everything.
Yeah. It's an embarrassment of riches. The kids today will never know the disappointment of like missing your favorite show, or having, or like you said, like trying to tape something and it tapes the wrong thing or at the wrong time, or if a show runs long and you didn't set the VCR to record long enough, and then it's just like, I missed the end,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that's why as adults we learn, and that's why if you go to a DVR, there's a button that says automatically extend time.
Yeah.
So you know who struggled with that as a kid. They're the ones hitting that automatically extend time.
My DVR, because of stuff like this, my DVR is set to record everything 3 minutes early or 2 minutes early and at least 5 minutes late. For The Simpsons, because I'm a weirdo who still watches The Simpsons. Because of football, during the football season, I actually have it record an hour and a half, just so that if the football games go long, and then all of a sudden they're like, we're gonna do football for another 45 minutes, I'm like, I get like the first 5 minutes in the DVR, and I'm like,
It's
now I gotta watch
heartbreaking.
on demand, and I gotta freaking
Commercials? What's this crap?
This is stupid. So I literally just have it record for an hour and a half, and I'm like, whatever, man. Like, I'll just delete it later. But
oh man,
that the kid, like you brought up, the kids today, like if anything buffers for a second, watch out.
The rage.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
why is it not? Why is it taking a second to load? Like, what's going on? And they're like already lost interest in something. And I'm like, dude, like, let me go ahead and bust out some of my VHS tapes and make you watch those. I'll take the controller so you can't even freaking fast forward.
Oh man!
And if you fast forward, you're gonna definitely fast forward through way too far into the movie.
Yeah.
And then it's not gonna hit right about, because it's not pausing instantly. You're like 10 seconds later that like you had to figure out like how fast your VCR fast forwarded it, so you could like hit the button to get it to stop 5 seconds later, right?
Oh yeah.
And I'm not even going to tell you how to use the tracking button.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh man. Oh yeah.
I love
Never.
seeing things online that are like tracking, where like it's you could tell it's from a VHS tape because somebody like at the beginning of the video,
Yeah.
like has the tracking adjusted. You could
And
see
you're
it.
like,
And I was like,
oh,
I
this
don't know
person knows
why,
what they're
but I
doing. This
love
is going to be a
those.
good rip.
You know it's gonna be good at that
Yeah.
point.
Yeah,
But,
yeah.
you know, there's some stuff where we're blessed with, right? Like that. And if you miss it, we get it on demand. We get it on Hulu, Netflix, whatever. But the one thing that kids nowadays don't get the privilege of having, and I miss tremendously with the new figures that we get, those inserts. Nothing was better
Oh,
than the G.I. Joe inserts. Like
yeah.
all of them did
You
it,
open it.
right?
Yeah.
But G.I. Joe, you had this huge poster of all the toys, and like they're all set up in like a battlefield and a diorama with all the check boxes at the bottom. And I remember looking through those, and you're like, "That's cool. What's that? That's H. What's H? Okay,
Yep.
that's the hurricane. That's the avalanche. Okay, great. Like I remember doing that as a kid.
Write that on my
Was
Christmas list for Santa.
yeah, that was the Sears catalog, man. That was
Oh,
those
Yeah,
are I miss that stuff.
oh my gosh.
I
Good
miss that
times.
stuff.
and
Man.
Yeah,
I'll be honest. The
Man.
Lego, at least Lego still sends out like a Lego catalog like once or
yeah.
twice a
Yeah.
year, and I'm like, all right, I can
But
get like. Part of me is like, why did you print this and send it to me? I could go online and find everything, but the rest of me is like, this is literally the only catalog I get anymore.
it's
Yeah.
nice, but it's also not the same. You
It's
know,
not.
Yeah.
like because
Yeah.
Target does it too. Target has their
Oh yeah, they got the
Christmas
big toy book.
catalog
Yeah.
with the big toy book, and you go through and it's like this it doesn't feel the same. It
Well,
it
it's not
doesn't.
the same because we don't have to like 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 Jamie said, you don't have to be like, Mom, can I get an extension of my allowance? You already got that. What if can I have like next week's already as
Yeah.
well?
Next
Right?
week. What about
Right?
Christmas?
You can't
Yeah.
like we're adults. We have jobs and I'm I'm told I'm notoriously hard to buy for because like I'll
Same
just
here.
buy whatever
I'm
I
sure.
want,
I'm sure we all
Mhm.
are. Yeah.
right?
James is on it too. But I mean,
Right? So,
so I think about that stuff too, and I think it's a catch-22, right? Part of me misses the hunt of like the mid 2000s when you would run to the store like 8 a.m. on Monday or Tuesday morning. Oh, the truck came in. All right, what do they got? And trying to find that figure. So I missed that, but I'm glad that I never miss out on a figure now because the pre-orders drop like that, and you can easily get them. But
Yeah.
I also miss the thrill of being a kid and going through the store and seeing something on the shelves that you never knew existed.
Yeah.
Like that was an amazing feeling as a kid.
Yeah.
that's kind of like I've said it before on this show so far, and I'll say it probably 100 times more. I still do it that way for that reason. I like Mike will talk about he's got the FOMO, like nobody's business with it, and I'm
Yeah.
like I got it too, but at the same time, like I don't know, I feel like I give it the shot. Like I'll go try, I'll go do the hunt, I'll go do it. If it's something I really want, I'll be like, all right, fine, I gotta buy it online, right? But like online is like the third or fourth option for me.
Yeah. To your point about like going to the store and everything like that, going to the store as a kid and trying to get that toy was like your first little taste of bargaining and negotiating with your parents, I was
Oh
like,
yeah,
yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
yeah. It's like,
That's exactly
Yeah.
what
like,
it
I'll
was.
do extra
It made us
chores.
better at eBay because of that.
Yeah. It's like,
Yeah.
I'll do extra chores. You don't have to get me anything for my birthday. Just like you try to like find
Yeah.
your ways. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good
Oh
stuff.
yeah. We definitely all did that. I did that as a kid. The one I think about the most out of any toy line, any action figure I've ever wanted in my entire life, Cobra Bat.
Oh
I
yeah.
remember seeing it at a store. I forget what store when I was a kid. It's funny. I can't remember the store, but I can picture the aisles and walking down the aisles and seeing it. It was on like an end cap thing
Mhm.
hanging there.
Yeah.
And I asked my parents and they said no.
Was it Ames?
Oh man.
It was probably Ames, to be honest. It's probably Ames, but
Ames, Zares,
yeah, not
Oh
theirs.
man.
Montgomery
Ames, yeah.
Ward. Let me go into the deep cuts of stores that don't exist anymore.
Oh wow.
This might be a New Hampshire thing, but Zylas. Do you guys have those?
Xylas?
No,
Xylas was like a very specific thing. There was
it was
like
like a discount store type thing. Yeah. Okay, I didn't know. I don't remember. I remember we had two up here, but again, we didn't have Targets up here till like the mid 2000s.
Oh
yeah,
wow.
So
Okay.
yeah, we didn't have we got Targets. It was like one popped up at the mall in Nashua, and it was like boom, Targets in New Hampshire, and it was like early 2000s.
Wow.
we still don't have an Ollie's. So
What are you talking about?
Wow.
we don't have Ollie's up here.
Aldi's? The grocery store?
Ollie's, Ollies.
Oh, that. I was like, we have Aldi's.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, we have Ollie's. Yeah, so yeah, I remember Xylas was great because that's where I would find like Bucky O'Hare figures and stuff like that.
Oh wow.
They were always good for that.
Yeah.
It was basically, that was the original, like, you go to like Ocean State Job Lot or something like that now, or Big Lots or whatever, where they get like they buy like all the old toys and stuff like that sometimes. But that around here, that was it. It was like they would buy like, I want to say like 2 or 3 year old merchandise at some point, right? Like I was buying like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Transformers that transformed into like,
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
like
Turtle?
Shredder transformed into the drill machine, and I'm drawing a blank on. But I bought that
Shredder
like
did that.
yeah, but I bought it like 5 years after it came out
Wow.
for like $6.
Wow.
Yeah, right? Like that, like they had all of them there at one point in time, and I was just like, okay.
Wow.
Like, I got paid one day, and I was like, done. I will go buy all of you. Right?
Awesome.
Like I was like 20 something.
Yeah.
Like it was, but that was it. It was like that was our thing. Like I don't know where you're from, so we're probably, maybe locationizing ourselves.
Location breakdown.
Yeah.
Wow. No,
Yeah.
I wasn't always in the Midwest here like I am now.
Okay.
Yeah, I was Hawaii. So
Oh, cool.
yeah, we had Holiday Mart, and
Okay.
I think it was a Ben Franklin there. And Woolworths, stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
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 Was it hard to get stuff out there? Or like, how was the distribution when you were a kid to Hawaii?
Oh my gosh, man. It was when it came to certain things, like you would see like sometimes multiples of the same figure. Like you'd be like, okay, they got this one now, but if I come back in next week, it might have a different one. And then you come back the next week and it's the same damn one, and you're just like, dang it. Okay, but if I come back the next week, maybe they'll have the next one, the new figure, and they come back, it's the same damn one. So you're just like, you felt a little defeated, but that's why when I was a kid, even then I knew I got to shop around. I got to like get everywhere I can, So I was going everywhere. Like I think even some of the grocery stores I went to had GI Joe figures. So I was like, "Where's the toy aisle? Where's the toy aisle?" like Mom,
those turtles.
Yeah.
Like especially in like the late 80s, early 90s, like those turtles and like comic books were literally everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, gosh, can you back in the day when they had good toys in the toy aisle, or they had the comic book spinner, and you could get pick up a comic book off of there,
Yeah.
Get the latest Marvel or DC or whatever,
Yeah. There's
never happened again
to that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now we have whole comic book stores.
Yeah.
Well, we had them then, but it was like
not like that.
That was like the weird place to go back then. Like you had to be it wasn't like inviting to kids, and like I think a lot of kids got into this stuff because it was like we were dragged to grocery stores or whatever, and we were like, this is going to appease us. And
shut up and be good, and I'll get your comic
in the grocery store. So we know ahead of time, like we're getting that GI Joe or the turtle or the comic book or whatever.
Yeah.
That's kind of how it was.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I remember like when I was a teenager and stuff like that. I would go to the I would get out of school. Go home, change, go play basketball for several hours. Then I would, walking on the way home, I would stop at the store. I would grab a comic and a drink, and then I'd head out of home. And that was like, that was like the world to me. That was amazing to me.
I don't know. Sounds pretty amazing right
Not a
now,
bad routine to have.
right? Like, if it wasn't raining outside, I'd like that sounds amazing.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh yeah.
like I probably wouldn't survive in Hawaii, but I'm built for cold weather.
I got you.
Is
I got
really
you.
what it is.
Yeah.
But,
Absolutely.
like that literally sounds amazing to me. Like I would love to go play I wish my body could play basketball for a few hours, and then I let me rephrase that. Walk somewhere, play basketball, then walk home. Like, I could probably do one of those three things.
It's that walking sandwich that gets you.
Ooh,
Yep.
I think it's falling here.
But I mean, I'm not. Yeah.
There we go.
No, like I did stuff like that, but it was like a shortened period of time. But like there was a store down the street from the school. So sometime like in middle school is when Magic the Gathering came out. So me and my friends, we would kind of like, we'd hit up the store, grab a couple packs, go shoot some hoops, and then come back and grab a couple packs or some comic books or some baseball cards or whatever, because the dude sold all of that stuff.
Yeah. Wow.
And it was, but that, you're right. Like, that's kind of it. Like, it was just easier for us to go straight from school and have somebody's mom pick us up as opposed to like go home and then go do that, because it wasn't near, like, we had neighborhoods where it was like, there's nothing here.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, especially up in New Hampshire.
Oh man.
Not that populated, but yeah, I never had that. The Spindles definitely missed that feeling, you know. And it was always like, it was barely any Marvel or DC on it. It was a lot of like Archie comics and stuff, but it was still that feeling of just going through and looking at the books, and you know. And nowadays it's kind of tainted, right? If you see a comic book that's not like board and bagged, you're like, oof. You know, it's kind of like we're a little prissy with that nowadays.
I'll be when I'm digging through the books, I'm kind of like I don't even like sometimes look at the section without the bags and boards. I'm like, I don't know, is this worth it? Like, you can tell they're kind of just shoved in there. Like, but you go back into the day, like even back then on the Spindles, those comics are probably in better condition than like the 700 that didn't sell 4 weeks ago that are just shoved in a box somewhere that somebody didn't want. Like, those were probably in better condition.
Yeah.
We also were kids and didn't care about whether or not we kept them in mint condition, because we did things like take baseball cards and put them in our bike spokes and stuff like that.
Yeah. I will admit though, even as a kid, I would go up to the spinner and I would look for a comic like, oh, this is too bent up. Put it back, like, oh, is this one a little bit bent? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was still that kid.
I was too. That was the thing though. Like, you could tell kids who were going to turn into what we turned into back then, because we were like, oh no, the card on this one's kind of wonky. Let me look through the. It's the only one that. Fine, I'll get it. I'll get it with the kind of bent, like the peg hook, like always around here. I don't know what it was. Like the peg hook piece that held it onto the peg hook was always jacked up for some reason. And sometimes it looks like kids just ate them, and I was like, I don't know why you ate this, but the store has food.
Jeez, yeah.
But no,
man!
Like
so, gentlemen, we have definitely gotten away from GI Joe there.
I mean, well, this happens a lot. You'll find out it happens a lot, but we can always circle back to the fact that they the GI Joes were there with the comic books.
That's true.
And
GI Joe comics.
Pick the one or the two.
That's true. Yeah,
unless you got the GI Joe comics, which were a thing, and that's how we got that character. What's her name? Glenda.
Glenda.
See, we did it, guys. Problem solved.
Glenda the Good Witch.
Oh my god. Oh man. I'm just like, I don't know where she came from and I don't know what comic she's from, but really? But no, I'm part of this group, MB Artist, and Bob McLeod, he's one of the artists in the group, and he did some work on the G.I. Joe comics back then. So
nice.
It's funny if you ask him about the cover of the first G.I. Joe issue. He's just like, I just had to draw a lot of weapons and draw that tank. So it's
Obviously,
yeah, I
like
don't think
there
he was
was
a big
like,
fan of doing that.
I could see being very like meticulous and like detail oriented
Yeah.
and straight lines, and I could like there's some comics that I look at and I just get carpal tunnel looking at the comics.
I'll be honest. That's how most comics are for me. Is like I'm not an artist. I look at all comics and I'm like, you got to have like you're a special breed to be able to do that stuff. Like the stuff behind you, I'm like, nah, man. Like my hand will cramp up after like 10 minutes. Like
Yeah.
I think it's the years of sitting behind a desk typing at a computer, or you know, I'll blame basketball. I've jammed my fingers so many times. I'm like, I can't even like this one. Like I can't like even hold like bags anymore of groceries with this pinky because of it.
Oh jeez.
Oh wow.
It's like, yeah, it like I can, but it feels really like I'm like I can hold this for like 5 seconds before I drop in it. Like,
Oh man.
yeah, like
Man, that's a
Tough
number on
job,
you.
man.
yeah.
I used to sprain my middle finger almost every week playing basketball.
Ooh.
Just like someone chucking a basketball at me and it just going whoosh, and
Yeah.
hit my middle finger. Almost every week, my middle finger would just be
Mine
swollen.
was jamming it.
Yeah. Oh,
The ball
boy.
would always like I would go to steal it, and I'm like always jamming my finger, and I'm like,
Yeah. Did you guys ever
Whatever,
dislocate
I'll
your
get through it.
fingers?
huh?
No.
I did. Oh man.
Ugh.
I was playing and I was in the post and I took a dribble and I was gonna like go towards the hoop and this guy hit my hand and the basketball we were playing with was a really hard leather one and when the ball came up
Okay.
it hit my pinky and it's still not straight to this day.
Oh,
But
jeez. Yeah, look at that.
But it was a Z shape. It was like a Z shape, and I was like, "What the heck is going on with my feel?" Like this was on top of here, and it was like facing up, and I don't know, it was weird. And then these guys that were high school players, like, just smooth it down. So
Just lay it flat, man.
yeah, so and they're like, you still play? So I'm like, rubbing my finger, and I feel it go back into place. But to this day, it's still a little wonky. Like I can still feel it a little bit too. So
Right? Like it's not that it hurts or anything. It just feels off, and you're like, I don't know what to do with that.
exactly, I'm like, well, it's a little thicker too than my other pinky. Not by much. It's actually gone down a lot over the years, but it's still there. You can still see it. But hey, it's a battle scar.
Yeah,
There you
right.
go. We all have them from when we were kids. That's it. Like we
Yep.
got battle scars, physical, mental, whatever.
The physical ones, that's one thing. The mental ones, you're dealing with that for a little while longer, but that's cool.
Right.
That's
like,
cool.
yeah.
Yeah.
It was all from trying to live out our G.I. Joe fantasies.
Oh, I know. Good God. So I answered what was my favorite. What were you guys' favorite G.I. Joe stuff? I answered my top 5. What were your favorite figures?
Yeah. So like I said, my Dreadnoughts,
Okay.
all of them, they gotta be one. Zartan primarily, just because that color change feature they threw in as as a kid, that was so cool. I'd always like try and put them outside, let them heat up and all the humidity get to them. And then I'm like, all right, sweet, and I bring them inside, and then all of a sudden it just fades. I'm like, damn it, bring them back outside.
Yeah.
The Alley Vipers, the version 1 Alley Viper, the orange, it's just because it's so ridiculous and it was so cool in the visor as a kid. Gridiron, like I said, Gridiron. I love the range Vipers, which I'm glad we're getting classified ones.
Yeah, they look so weird. I'd never, to be honest, I'd never seen one before it came out in the classified series.
That's the Deke
I'm just
series.
like, is this a zombie?
It looks so cool with the skull and the brain and stuff. It's just a wild design of the 90s.
Yeah.
And then after that, probably like I said, the Battle Armor Cobra Commander. That'd be my top tier, my upper echelon of Joes.
Okay.
I'll be honest. Destro was one of my favorites, and I never had him. I think it was I'm pretty sure it was because he was shiny. Like I'm thinking back at it, and I'm like, the figure itself was pretty good, but I'm like, I'm pretty sure it was like, ooh, that's shiny, and I'm pretty sure that's what drew me to him. But I
Yeah.
never had him. A buddy of mine who I grew up with, it was really good because like we both had a lot of toys and stuff like that, but we had very little like overlap between the two of us, so it worked out really well.
Were you guys borrowing each other's figures and stuff like that?
We would always just bring them, like we'd have sleepovers and we'd just bring them, and we'd we'd pick one to bring because it was like half of our, like we had a duffel bag, like we each had like a duffel bag that we would like bring the toys over with us, and we'd like it would be like Turtles or Thundercats or Silverhawks or whatever, or G.I. Joe. I think I ended up having more G.I. Joe than a lot of my other friends, so like they had like the characters I didn't have, so like I said, my buddy had Destro and I was always jealous of it. So Destro
was a sweet figure.
He was. I had a weird affinity for my Sergeant Slaughter.
Yeah.
Right, like I don't know. I think it was the hat again. I think it was just like the fact that he had like that exact hat. I was also big into wrestling, so I think that played into it as well. I'm like, I'm watching him on TV.
Yeah, it's a real life Joe that you can see.
And I'm playing with his G.I. Joe and also his wrestling figure. And then I had the two fight each other, and I'm pretty sure I don't know how I decided who won. It was probably whether I was feeling Joe or wrestling that day.
Yeah.
Like you said, Flint. Another one I never had, but again, my buddy had Beachhead.
Beachhead was a cool figure.
I was like, I feel like that's the name, and I'm drawing a blank on it, but I'm pretty sure that's the dude who was like, he was like a bluish color, right?
Green.
Yeah.
And
the green ski mask.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly it.
There was a blue Shockwave wannabe named a blue Beachhead wannabe named Shockwave.
Yeah, he was
like
cool.
Shockwave. It was Beachhead with like a hat and all. Blue.
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So, but those were some of my favorite characters. I think I played with them constantly. I still have to actually find all my old figures. They're buried somewhere in my garage at this point. I would probably I ended up with a bunch of like the big vehicles as well. So they're probably all somewhere there.
Yeah.
I'll give G.I. Joe. So G.I. Joe, I think, actually had, from a toy perspective, it did have some of the coolest vehicles that, like, of any of the toy lines that came out when we were kids. I love my Turtles vehicles and stuff like that. But I think it was the ratio of the toy, like the Technodrome, like from a Turtles perspective, is this massive, sphere, right? In the cartoon and everything like that. And the Turtles are like, I'm a third of this. And it's like, now, at least with the G.I. Joes, all the figures seemed weirdly proportional to the vehicles. So I liked it better. Like the ratio was more correct in my eyes, despite the fact that, in the cartoon, the vehicles are obviously more massive, but the scale was weirdly better for me.
It worked,
but they're also super intricate, right? They came with, like, we've talked, like, we've brought it up before. There's guns, there's accessories. Like G.I. Joe was that. Like, it had more accessories than anything.
Oh,
like,
man.
Yeah.
Guns on guns on guns on missiles.
Even like, one of the characters I loved the most as a kid too was like Snow Job.
Yeah.
Right? Because he had like snowshoes and then skis and the poles and the gun and the backpack, and he could ride the backpack like a sled, and then he had a helmet that was movable, and it's just like the amount of stuff they packed into these characters and figures. It was amazing.
Oh yeah.
So much.
I know.
Right? Like that's what it, like that was, and we've, I don't know, like it was like like you said, your buddy drew the first issue of GI Joe, and he was like, "I drew like a ton of guns and stuff," and I'm like, "That's it. That's what it was.
Mm-hmm.
It was like." It made it cool to be like, I'm just gonna go shoot stuff. So we all grabbed sticks and ran around the woods, and we're like, we're blowing stuff up,
Yeah.
G.I. Joe style.
Oh yeah.
You know.
Oh
And
yeah.
then when it was winter, we pretended to be like other stuff like building snow forts, and we're like throwing snowballs. Kind of like trying like that was the stuff we did as kids. And
Oh yeah.
I used to freeze GI Joes in Dixie cups.
Oh,
Put water in a Dixie cup with a Joe in it, put it in the freezer, get them a couple hours later, and the other Joes have to go on a mission to save them.
Yeah. I remember one of the things I used to do was my sister used to play with like these Barbie dolls, and I would have GI Joe attack them all the time and just like
obviously,
like just shoot them down and all that stuff. I don't know why.
I mean, they have to.
Yeah.
I always, as a kid, I mean, I had a lot of toys. Like I had the General, the big vehicle, the General. I had that.
Oh.
I never had like the Defiant or anything like that, but I had like the GI Joe base, like that, the big one. But I always wanted a Pterodome so bad as a kid. Like that was
so
just
cool.
beautiful looking, and it had so many bays. Like there's all a repair bay and a barracks and a command station, and it just packs so much into that thing. And I always wanted it.
Now you saying that, I have to ask. So HasLab, what if they come out? Hey, we're doing a Pterodrome. Would you back it? You wouldn't back it?
That thing would be like thousands of dollars. Pretty big.
I'm just saying. You never had it. This would have fit your current figures.
It would.
And it'd probably be pretty dang cool. They probably like make it light up and all kinds of stuff.
It'd be amazing.
Yeah.
You know what I want more than anything? I'd be tempted, but I'd also be, getting divorce papers handed to me.
Yeah. I can't help you there.
We had to do a review episode for it. And
right.
Hasbro, just send it to us. We'll review it ahead of time.
There you go.
And you may or may not get it back. It's fine.
Let's be honest. That thing is a pipe dream for any collector. But all I'm asking for out of Hasbro is give me a ferret. Give me a classified ferret.
Oh, I love the ferret.
That was one of my favorite vehicles. One of my absolute favorite vehicles. I don't know why. I only had one, but as a kid, I wanted like 20 of them. And just have all the Cobras on them, all the Dreadnoughts on them. Like, here's Thrasher and the Thunder Machine, Zanzibar and his air skiff, and all the other Dreadnoughts on ferrets going into action. Like that's what I wanted as a kid.
I kept thinking, because it took them a while to come out with the Crimson Twins. I was like, and they put out like Breaker with the Ram and stuff. I was like, are the Crimson Twins going to come out with the ferret? I was like, that'd be perfect.
That'd be cool.
But didn't happen. Didn't happen.
I'm stoked.
Yeah.
I'm stoked for the Trouble Bubbles though.
Oh, I know.
Those are so cool because I love the Televipers as a kid, and those Trouble Bubbles look fantastic. They look like the original ones, just modern. So my plan, because like I said, I only back one Hiss, right? Because I can't go too crazy for room, and $300 isn't easy to just throw around.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna have the Hiss sitting there and a Trouble Bubble flanking on either side.
Nice.
I'm gonna have to get flight stands for them because Hasbro didn't include them, but it's a small price to pay. Because I thought when they announced those, when they just announced them, how they do like name only reveals, then the renders, and then you see plastic and pre-orders. I'm like, these got to be like $80 each. I'm like, I'll get them for $80 each, and then they dropped and they're like 55. I'm like, shit. That's a really good price for what we're getting.
Yeah.
So I'll go on eBay and I'll get some $2 China flight stands and I'll be happy.
There you go. Oh man. Oh, okay. So the Pterodrome is out. What vehicle besides the ferret? Because the ferret's a given. It's beautiful. What vehicle on the Joe side would you like to see them come out with?
I'm weird, man. I'm weird. Honestly, I don't think it should be a HasLab. I do want a Vamp.
I
really want a Vamp. I don't think it's big enough for HasLab. I think they should throw that into retail because they could also repurpose the mold as like a Stinger.
True.
And stuff like that for Cobra. Whereas I don't think it would go over so well if they crowdfunded that and then reuse the mold for something else.
True.
I like that. As stupid as it is, as a kid, I always loved the bridge layer.
Oh.
I think that'd be pretty cool vehicle to have.
Didn't the driver that had his thing kind of like cocked his helmet?
So.
And he's just kind of like,
was it? Was his name like Toll Booth or something like that?
It was Toll Booth.
Yeah.
And he had his sleeves rolled up or something, and
yeah.
That meant he was cool.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's the Joe stuff didn't really. The Cobra vehicles are so iconic. The Joes are more like grounded, I feel.
True.
That's kind of why
they're more realistic, whereas the Cobra vehicles were always more like, this is just so much cooler.
Yeah, there was more imagination.
Well, that's why I want the Earthquake. The Cobra Earthquake, it was a big, front loader.
Yeah.
You remember that thing?
I think so.
A big, giant front loader with, missiles on the back. It was, bright orange and purple and, neon yellow. They had some wacky stuff for Cobra. It was so good.
Okay. I'm going to one-up you here. What about the Night Raven? Loved the Night Raven.
Oh.
Do you remember that one?
Yeah.
That was beautiful. And it had the little ship on the top that would fly off and everything. The Night Raven was exquisite. I loved it.
That was a really good one. Same problem with the Dragonfly though, too big. For if it was like a jet, I'll take a shark, right? Because a shark is a shark. I don't know how much you can see on a camera. Could probably come out like this big and classified.
Yeah,
and be okay with it. Tip to tail.
Yeah,
that's doable for me. Is a shark or something because it's gotta fit. My house.
Yeah. What about the killer? What about the killer whale?
The whale. Oh, that piece. Do you see someone 3D printed one? And it looks fantastic.
I didn't see it.
That's it was making the rounds on social media a little while ago, and I'm like, ooh, that looks gorgeous. But I don't know. I think that's the same problem as with the fire. The Dragonfly for me is I don't know how I'd display it or where I'd put it. Whereas a tread vehicle or a wheel vehicle, I'm more apt to back or purchase because I got a place for that. In my mind, I could put it on the ground or on my floor or on a shelf, pose some troops around it, and be happy with that. Whereas if it's the whale, I'm not gonna get a little kid's tub and fill it with water or anything to make a little diorama scene for that. So
why not? Your kid would play with it.
Yeah,
I know she would. She wants to play with all my toys.
Just have Unicron hold it, man.
Yeah.
Oh man,
I think that thing would be a lot bigger than Unicron.
Oh boy.
It'll be fine.
All right. Okay. On the flip side of that now, worst G.I. Joe figures or vehicles ever.
Worst figures or vehicles. Oh, I don't know. I never thought about that.
It's kind of hard, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's hard. Because you remember the good ones. You don't remember the bad ones.
What was it? What was his name? Tiger Force Tripwire.
Oh,
because it looked like he was just wearing a leopard bikini or a bathing
It was
suit.
weird. I remember that figure. It was weird. It was super weird.
Thank God.
Yeah, it was just he was the same. Wasn't the package even the same where he's telling people to stay back, and it just had the tiger print on his outfit? Wasn't that just all it was?
I remember the package because I never had him. So
because
he was
part of the beauty of those G.I. Joe figures was the painting on the package.
Yeah, gorgeous.
Yeah, and then I remember the Tripwire one. It was the same one as the original, just with the tiger stripe stuff, and you're like, oh, how disappointing.
Yeah, and it's the same outfit that he has, but with the Tiger Force motif. And you look at it, and you're like, he's wearing a tiger stripe women's bathing suit. Oh my god!
I remember.
So I think that's probably the worst. Off the top of my head for me.
That's a good call, man.
We'll do that one.
I'm having weird visions of a guy, of a figure in a cheetah print shirt.
Oh,
and he came with he was a again, like we go back to like he was a weird favorite of mine, but
Yeah.
I'm like now picturing him and I'm like, that was a bad figure. Like he's basically dressed as a pimp.
Is that Pimp Destro?
No, he was a Joe. And like I almost want to say he had like a claw necklace too. Like he was a weird version of like Kraven, if you will, from like Marvel, but he had like
Crystal Ball?
No.
I remember Crystal Ball.
Yeah, jeez.
Because I remember Crystal Ball. He was weird. I remember Falcor, or whatever his name was. He had the Falcon with him.
That was Crystal Ball. You sure it was cheetah print?
No.
All right.
Like
That doesn't narrow it down. You talking about Naugahyde?
I'm literally drawing a blank on the name, and so don't like. No, that's not. I didn't say go.
Hey.
Yes.
Yeah, Naugahyde.
That guy. I'm like,
he was a
I'm
dreadnought.
like remembering him like he was another one. Like I played with all the time.
Comes with the boar. Yeah, he's a dreadnought. He's a bad guy.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, he was. Oh,
yep.
Like I said,
he was a dreadnought poacher.
Yeah,
I very vividly like remembered how like hold that back up. Like he looks horrible.
I'll put it away.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
No, he's awesome. You kidding
but
me?
he looked like he looks creepy.
Call it all right. So because he was their poacher. That's the other thing that I love about G.I. Joe. As a kid, as an adult, is every character has a role and a purpose. They're not just there.
Right.
They have a specific reason for being there, and that's awesome.
They had a
a lot of things like
Yeah.
Like I love like Transformers is my number one. G.I. Joe's Special Classified's kind of like getting really, really close, and maybe kind of could push it out eventually. But like Transformers, there's robots, there's Transformers, they're characters.
Yeah.
But G.I. Joe, it's like, all right, well that Doc's the medic, and Dial Tone is the communications officer or breaker,
Yeah.
And they all had a role and a purpose. So it made that world and playing that much more entertaining because you could play out those roles and those fantasies with those roles and stuff.
Yeah. They had something for everybody. Like even that guy right there. Like I said, I played with him all the time.
Yeah.
And I look back and I'm like if you like going back at like what you just held up, I'm like, that's it. Like that's the guy. And I'm like, that is literally a dude wearing like a pimp vest and like bear, like and run around in the woods with a boar.
Yeah.
Right. Like,
look up Headmaster. That dude's a pimp.
Oh, Headmaster. Okay, I remember Headmaster.
Long ponytail, pinstripe suit.
Yeah.
Nasty goatee. He was a pimp.
Okay. Yeah, I think I remember him.
Which think about that too. That like I know it was the 90s, which like that was a forefront in childhood development, but like it's G.I. Joe, like, hey, here's a drug dealer. Go buy him. Like, that's exactly what it was. It was the Headmaster and his headhunters. And the headhunters were just bad guys that were peddling drugs.
Yeah. Oh my god.
And that was a cool design too. The headhunters.
Yeah.
That was a really cool design.
Like we've brought that up before, like the things that were peddled to us in the late 80s and throughout the 90s were like, that's not really a kid's toy. Like, if you look back at it, you're like, I wonder if that's why I am the way I am now. Nah, it can't be it.
Yeah.
Oh, they made a new one by.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm surprised that Hasbro's doing like Indiana Jones with Nazis and shit. Like, I'm surprised that they're not steering away from that, considering they don't want to do a hooded Cobra Commander. Like,
so they don't want to do a hooded Cobra Commander.
So the story that I heard is they were like developing like the movies and stuff like that. Right. And what's the guy's name that produced all the movies and produced like the Transformers movie, Bonavista, whatever his name was. Bonavista or whatever came in and like he drew a parallel to Cobra Commander's hood and a KKK hood. And since then, Hasbro was like, we can't do that. We can't be associated with that. And it's like it's completely different. It's not a white hood with a point.
Yeah.
right? Like, I get how bad and horrible that idea is in that image, right?
Right.
But
Right.
it's a blue hood, right?
Right.
Like, executioners wore black hoods and stuff like that. Like, don't take that away from that. But it's just, I hope that was just a bullshit rumor and they give us a hooded commander at some point.
Yeah. Although
Because
you
like,
almost think they
that's
would have by now.
iconic.
You know, you almost think they
Yeah.
would have by now.
Which is why I think there's merit to that story, you know?
That sucks. That sucks so bad.
Yeah, because we got like, what, 8 different Cobra commanders at this point?
Yeah. Yeah.
We're getting a classic one with the hiss, Mickey Mouse ears and all.
Oh, I know. I'm excited about that. I'm excited. I want to see it. I want to see what their version of the Mickey Mouse Cobra Commander in the classified series is. You know?
Yeah. Do you think they plan on giving us that in the HasLab campaign, or was that oh shit, we blew through all the goals, we need to give them something else? Let's take that from retail and just add it to the HasLab.
I don't know. I mean, it's tough to say because I would think that they maybe would have had the foresight to say, you know what, this is a nice little Easter egg for people. Why don't we just throw that in there? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
considering he was on the original box art too. Right?
Yeah.
He's hanging out the hiss in the original box art. So
yeah.
But dude, I'm so excited for the hiss. Seriously, we're getting 4 figures. There's the driver, the early bird, the tactician, the female, right, and then Cobra Commander. So like, I'm excited for those 3 figures alone, and that pissed me off, right? So everyone knew it was the hiss, right? They teased it. They were not as subtle as they were about it with like they were with the Dragonfly, right?
Right.
And I remember talking to my friend, and I'm like, hiss. I'm like, you know what? It's gonna have an opening cockpit. If I'm going to get it, it's going to have working treads. And you know what? It needs to have the compartment in the back open up so I can put a figure in there.
Yeah.
And then they come on with the live stream like, hey, here's the hiss. Guess what? Opening cockpit. By the way, it opens 3 different ways.
Yep.
Here's the working treads. The back opens up. There's a jump chair in there to put a figure in, a weapons rack. They can climb up the turret to man the gun, and it's got lights. And I'm like, fuck, I'm in. Like I didn't have to think about that.
Yeah.
With Unicron, especially being almost $600, I waited till like the last day to back that because I'm like, oh, should I? But I was like, I'm never getting a chance to get a Unicron again.
Yeah.
So I need to do that.
Yeah.
And then with the hiss, like it was the second they showed it, I was jumping over to Pulse and pre-ordered, backed it. I was like, I got it.
Pretty sure you sent me a confirmation of you pre-ordering the hiss, and I was like, what are you sending me right now? Then you had like it was just like a pre-order, and I was like,
I mean,
dude,
what are you talking about?
I mean, like when you really think about it,
it's
like for the first G.I. Joe HasLab, I mean, what other vehicle would you really have as your first one? Something that's like a decent size that could be reasonably priced as an introductory to the HasLab. It's like I think the hiss was a really good choice. I mean, unless you did like a God, because every other vehicle I think of, I'd either be great to go to retail or it'd be too damn big for the introductory to the HasLab. Like the Sky Striker is probably the most iconic G.I. Joe vehicle, but one, we just had it for the smaller series, and 2,
huge.
Can you imagine how big that's going to be?
Huge, yeah.
Yeah, I mean. People thought the Dragonfly was bad. Oh my gosh.
It is. Which so with the hiss, all that made sense, right? All the unlocks for the figures made sense. For the Dragonfly, it's like, well, there's only 2 seats in that damn thing.
Yep.
Like, why give us 2 extra figures?
Yeah.
That, are especially with the pattern so far, right?
Yeah.
With Wild Bill's got to be the pilot, and then you have Ripcord in there, and now Glenda. It's like, all right, well, we have to think that the 4th one's going to be like, airborne altitude or, something like that. And it's like, I don't want 4 pilots for 1 vehicle that holds 2 people.
Yeah.
So I question that. But then again, like, what else are they going to do for stretch goals on that?
I mean, what would you have wanted to see?
That's just it. I have no idea. It's definitely not a pilot, not an airborne guy. Give me ground troop at that point. You know what I mean? Because if you can only have
what about a Night Force Crazy Legs? He's a parachutist.
keep it as long as they keep it Night Force, because that gives me hope that I'll get a mainline release of Ripcord and Crazy Legs. So that I was at least okay with. Or just give me do like they did with the Sky Striker. Give me a mechanic, like someone that's going to work on the plane, especially because they show there's removable panels. So give me something like that. But like they did with the Hiss, right? Like there's a shovel and stuff in there to get it out of the mud and stuff. That's just so cool they did that. But one thing that pissed me off with the Hiss, they showed off a fucking tow hitch.
Yeah.
But an unlock wasn't like an ASP or anything like that. And I was like, God damn it. Like,
oh man.
I want it. Like, why show off the tow hook if you're not going to give us something right away?
Right.
Once it funded, like, all right, well, hey, you know what would be go great with that Hiss that you just bought for $300? This towable for $50.
Yeah.
You know how many people would buy? Everyone who backed the Hiss would get that.
That's true.
There's not a single person who wouldn't.
That's
and
true.
Multiples,
Yeah.
So that drove me nuts.
That's true. That's true, man. That is so true. I mean, there's sometimes where like it's hard to, because when the first Classified series first came out, what was it, $19.99 a figure? Was it, or was it a little cheaper?
Yeah.
Now it's up to what?
19.
Yeah, now it's up to what, $24.99 for basic, and you don't even get the window to see them. And then and like the bonus figure, whatever it is, like Crocmaster is like $34, $39, something like that, and it's kind of hard to sometimes like justify the love. But I mean, if you're really in love with it like I am, you'll find a way to do it. Yeah. Even if it means cutting back on other figures.
See, I'm lucky I'm not a completionist.
Yeah.
Right. I get what I like. I get what I want.
Yeah.
Copperhead. I didn't order him.
Yeah.
I don't want him because I want a Python Patrol version of him.
Oh, right. Okay.
And I'll take a Python Patrol version of him.
Yeah.
Any day. But I didn't back him I didn't buy him or pre-order him. And I don't think I'm going to get Chuckles. I got to see him.
Okay.
I got to see what he looks like, right?
Yeah.
There's a few that like instant buy on just hearing the name.
Yeah.
But then there's some where it's like, I got to see what they look like. And then there's some where it's like, no.
Yeah.
Just like Lowlight. They announced Lowlight, and I'm like, I got to see what he looks like. And then it showed digital renders, and I'm like, I'm going to get him. So it's like, and it's funny too, because like I am methodical with my stuff, especially
true.
How like it is true how they're doing pre-orders, right? Where pre-orders are 6, 8, 12 months out. So I have like a spreadsheet of everything I pre-ordered, where they're pre-ordered at, so I know when to expect my credit card getting hit,
right,
and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And if I look at it, and it's all G.I. Joe for the rest. I got like two Transformers pre-ordered and a few other like miscellaneous things.
Yeah.
And that's it. But then it's like I got Bazooka, Shipwreck, Rock and Roll, Snow Job, Scrap Iron, Cobra Eel, Range Viper, Big Ben, the Troll Bubble, Tunnel Rat. Then the announcements, I want Grunt, Ripper, Hawk, Tripwire, Buzzer, Chuckles, Lowlight, Mutton Junkyard. It's all, like, you guys suck. Like,
man.
He shows it to me. He shows me the spreadsheet periodically, and I'm like, dude, I'll give you props for you being organized, but that is a lot.
Yeah.
Well, that way I can plan for this stuff, because the last thing I want is to look at my credit card and be like, oh shit, why is there $200 on here?
Yeah.
And then I jump over and it's like, oh, that's why. Okay.
Oh yeah. No, I mean,
it's smart.
There's so much good stuff coming though. It's like it's hard to like say no. Like okay, when I was originally buying G.I. Joe back in the day, because of circumstances, I wasn't a completionist. But then I learned to only get the ones I liked. And at a certain point, I stopped liking what was coming out. But now it's like, now that I see them, and I'm just like, oh man, these are like pretty cool. It's like even the bad ones are still pretty good. Like, I don't know, did you get Falcon? I did not like his face. Flint?
No.
Flint, the Classified Flint broke my heart. I was like, this face is terrible. I hate it.
It looks terrible.
I hated it.
I'll say Falcon, if you put him in a pose, his face doesn't bother me. Like, I got him posed out on the shelf back there, and it doesn't bother me at all. But yeah, standing there, if you look at it, it's like he looks like a fish. Flint definitely bothers me with the face. It does not look like Flint.
Nope.
Even Lady J, I
Yeah.
like her, but she's a little too dainty and small.
Yeah.
I get that they're females, but like females aren't that much smaller than, you know.
Yeah. Did you
than
get
the
Cover
guys.
Girl?
Yeah.
What do you think of her?
I think they went a little bit heavy with the makeup.
Yeah.
But other than that, I like it.
My action figure has too much makeup on it. Things
Well,
I
no,
don't think we ever
like
thought we'd say when we were
like
10.
her lips are too bright.
Well, she
You know
was
what
a
I mean?
former model, though, right? So she wants to
Yeah.
retain some of that.
But she's also a tank mechanic. Why didn't they give her a vehicle to fix?
That's true. Where's the Wolverine? Dang it! Where's the Wolverine?
Yeah, you know, and the Wolverine isn't a big tank either,
No.
right? So that's
Yeah.
doable for them to put out. She
Yeah.
comes with a wrench to fix it and a little like data iPad with schematics on it.
I mean, yeah.
Give us that.
I mean, don't you like? I'm getting the uneasy feeling that like some of these drivers that are coming without vehicles, we're not going to get those vehicles.
Yeah,
That's what I'm worried about. Like the Moccasin's never going to come. The Wolverine's not coming. You know what I mean? That's what I'm worried about.
I mean, if it does, it wouldn't come with a figure because that'd be just shitty if they repack it like that. You know?
Yeah.
You know, because everyone will be
So-
pissed. I mean, I'm irritated at
could.
like, yeah, it could, like the Tiger Force stuff, right?
Yeah.
So I was never into Tiger Force as a kid. I had a couple figures, not much, but I get the Tiger Force figures because if they come out before the regular version, even though I know I'm getting the regular version,
Yeah.
like, it's because I want the character. So I did that with Outback, and that Outback Tiger Force figure is beautiful.
Yeah, it is.
and so is the version one.
Mm-hmm.
The second one that came out, but I lucked out because I ordered Bazooka and who's the other one?
With the Recondo.
Ricardo, yeah. I'm
Yeah.
like, he's right there, damn it. And I bought those and I got them in, and then they showed like the regular bazookas coming out, and they showed him, and I'm like, God damn it, I should have known better, and I'm getting a regular Recondo. But I lucked out because I went on Target, and
Yeah.
that's when Target was having issues or whatever, and I hit return for both of those, and they said I got the message, we're refunding your money, keep the figures.
What?
Okay, yeah. So I got them free.
Why?
I think it's because at that
Target's
point they were
weird,
getting such
man.
an influx of like returns
Oh.
on that stuff, and it was like, hey, it'd be cheaper for us to give you your money back, you need to keep it, than us to re-inventory it and put it on
Oh, right,
shelf.
right,
So,
right. And try to store it and everything.
yeah, so I got
Wow.
them completely free. So I have those three, and that's gonna be it for me for Tiger Force, because you know I already have the regular Dusty, so I don't need to get the Tiger Force one.
Right.
I might keep this version of Recondo though, because that's the one I had as a kid.
Yeah.
I didn't have the regular version. I had the Tiger Force version. Him and I forget who else.
It
Did
was,
Wild Bill come out as Tiger Force? Because I know the helicopter did. The Dragonfly was like the Tigerfly.
I don't remember. Might have.
I had a couple like that. Whereas as a kid, I always wanted Python Patrol, and I got none of it as a kid.
Wow.
So I'm definitely getting Python Patrol as an adult. But in my head canon, because I don't need to go crazy with this,
Yeah.
Python Patrol is a special unit, the elite fighter from each division. So I'm getting one of each for Python Patrol, and they're just an elite division
Yeah.
that like protects Serpentor, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas I got like 5 bats back there, and 5 alley vipers, and 5 vipers, and Cobra troopers, and Cobra officers. So like,
Yeah.
I went bad on that.
Yeah.
Which is funny because when I first started collecting the line, I was like, I'm just doing Joes, no Cobras.
Right.
And then like halfway through, I'm like, shit, I'm gonna go back because someone, I think it was my wife, she bought me the Cobra Commander,
Yeah.
and I was like, well, I can't just have him.
Yeah.
And then she got me like 2 of the infantry.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what you just have done, right? So I had to go back, and I had to find
You did
Destro, I had to
this.
find Baroness, and then here's the Crimson Twins and
Yeah.
Major Blood, and I looked on a Major Blood too. I found him at Target, and he wasn't ringing up in their system.
Yeah.
This was like months and months after he came and
Oh,
gone.
yeah, yeah.
and it wouldn't ring up in their system, so they gave it to me for $10.
Wow.
Because like, oh, it must be discontinued. We can't sell it to you. I'm like, so what are you gonna do with it? Like, it's gonna go back to your headquarters. You guys are gonna throw it out because it's discontinued, right?
Right.
Like, why not at least sell it to me, make some money? And they're like, oh, we can't. It's discontinued, blah blah. And I'm like, listen,
Yeah.
just tell me what you want to charge me. And like, I had to call like a manager over.
Really?
I was that person. But I'm sure you know, like Major Blood he was going for a lot of money and
Yep.
hard to find, just like Firefly.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So, but I was able to go back and get every single figure.
Yeah.
And I lucked out. I think I got a lot from some guy off Facebook. It was Destro Baroness without the coil cycle. I just want her.
Okay.
I don't want the cycle.
Yeah. The cycle's kind of cheap anyway.
Yeah, Cobra Infantry, and then the Viper. And I think I paid like $50.
Wow.
Or $60. And I was like, holy shit. Like I lucked out with that.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah, I don't want the coil. I got the Ram. I like the Ram. That's a pretty cool vehicle. Very iconic for Joe.
Yep.
They should They should make what was the Joe motorcycle where it's like a Tron light cycle almost, where they're sitting on their belly like that.
Oh, the what was it called? I know exactly what you're talking about. It was a weird long thing.
Yeah, it's like a motorcycle.
Something recon vehicle.
Oh, I don't know.
Oh. It had an acronym like everything else.
Yeah.
Just like everything in the military is an acronym.
Yeah, right.
Let's see.
I don't even know what to look up.
Find it first.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
I'm not playing this game.
Probably Jamie. I can't. I searched for G.I. Joe motorcycle. It's all like the Ram and then like Ducatis.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Dang it.
Motorcycle.
Anybody watching this, if we don't figure it out, write in the comments.
Yeah, right. You know, someone's screaming right now, like, you morons! You don't know G.I. Joe. It's this thing.
Well, while we're looking, I will say my pick for the worst figure or vehicle from the G.I. Joe line was the Pogo. It made no sense.
Oh, come on.
The Pogo. Why?
That was so fun, though.
Why?
Yeah.
There was no reason for it, dude. Shoot.
It was money. So they wanted more money from us.
What about the Bug?
So they made it.
Oh, yeah.
Remember the Cobra? I had that as a kid. The Bug. It was just this weird, like,
the LCV thing. Recon sled.
Recon sled. There you go.
Yep, the low crawl vehicle. LCV. Recon
yeah, there you
sled.
go. LCV. Yeah.
Yep. Oh man, I just saw more vehicles I loved. I love the Devilfish. Oh man, see, G.I. Joe had it going on.
They did.
G.I. Joe was like
they knew
everything.
what they were doing.
Yep.
It was back then they hit it at the pricing, like we talked about it. They were like less than other action figures because they were smaller. You could buy more.
Yep.
They did it extremely well.
Yeah.
Right. Like they did it, and then like we talked about again, the vehicles they're just really cool.
Oh yeah, yeah, they're so cool.
Like even people who didn't like really get into G.I. Joe, they always had it, right? Because that was how cool they were. They were like pulling people in just for the toys.
Yeah,
cartoon aside, right?
Yeah,
it was a big thing, and that's like I don't know.
For Joe's, I definitely want the mobile battle bunker. I loved that one as a kid.
The mobile battle bunker.
Yeah, it was the green one with I don't know how to describe the shape, but it like opened up like this, and like missiles popped out. And stuff. That thing. I love that as a kid. I still have my vintage one in the other room. That's one of my favorite vehicles for some reason. And you know what else I loved? I don't know what it was called, but it was the stupidest thing. It was kind of like a tank thing that turned into a decrepit alleyway.
What?
Do you remember that vehicle? Yeah. Like, yeah. Like panels would flip, and it would transform from like a tank to like a decrepit alley to like disguise itself.
I'm at a loss.
That might have been like 90s.
Oh, okay.
We're just gonna call it Alley Strike. I'm making shit up now.
Oh my gosh.
It's probably not far off.
Wow.
The Alley Strike. You're right.
Did either of you guys have the flag?
Oh hell no.
Yeah. That was like the white whale. I didn't get it then. I'm not gonna get it now. I have no place to put it.
Yeah, it's still too big.
Yeah.
Still way too big.
I mean 7 feet long, you know?
It was.
Yeah.
I don't think I even knew anybody who had it because you're right. Like that was one of those things where it was like, even back in the 90s, like the price tag on it was just something ridiculous to the point where you had to have like a real obsession for G.I. Joe. Like as a kid, you were sacrificing like birthdays and Christmases for like 2 years at that point. Or you had or it was like the really rich friend who ended up having like all of them.
Yeah.
And like he weirdly had it like all
the Defiance and all that.
Out, right?
Yeah.
The
mobile command center.
Yep.
Is it the mobile command center, the one we figured out last time that I had? It was like the big. It was like
tackle
the big,
box one.
Yeah, it was like the toolbox that like steps out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It kind of reminded me of like the Jawas little ship from Star Wars.
Sandcrawler.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's a perfect description. Yeah.
That really is. Yeah. Like I had that one, and I figured what I was scrolling Instagram the other day. Shocker. My Instagram feed is massively different now than it was like 2 months ago.
Yeah.
Weird. I feel like this has something to do with it. But anyway, I completely like it was one of those things that like it's in the recesses of your mind, and then as soon as I saw it, it had those bright orange missiles.
Oh.
And I remember those things, and I was like, I love these way more than any kid should have for a freaking bright orange missile. And I was like, I love these things.
Yeah.
Like I fired them at my friends all the time. Like they'd be playing Zelda, and I'd just be firing them at them, and they'd playing them back at me. Jeez, right? Like it, that's what it was.
Yeah.
I told the story before, but I'll tell you, like I lost my Game Boy in there.
What?
For like almost, it was like 6 months or a year or some crazy thing. Like I was playing with it. I was playing with a Game Boy.
Yeah.
I don't know what my, young child brain thought.
Yeah.
But I put my Game Boy in it.
Okay.
And I didn't, then I put the command center away for a long period of time, and I could never find my Game Boy. And then I pulled it out and started playing with Joe's again. And I was like, oh, that's where my Game Boy was. Turn the Game Boy on because the batteries lasted forever in that thing. Turn it back on, got completely sidetracked.
Yeah.
But I lost the mobile command center. Like I played with that thing. Like I got it for like a Christmas or whatever, and a couple Joes and probably some turtles. I'm sure the turtles hung out in there and ate pizza at some point in time in my life. But I loved that thing. And then eventually I ended up getting afterwards. I think Mike said it was like the big tank crawler thing with like the pieces that flipped up with with more missiles that shot out of the platform base.
Oh man!
But they were so cool.
Stuff. Yeah. Did you get into any other G.I. Joe media like Resolute or Renegades or anything?
There it is.
I did try watching a Resolute. And I watched a good amount of it, and then stuff was going on, so I just kind of like lost track of it or whatever. I did watch the live action movies with Channing Tatum and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, and I tried to
Marlon Wayans.
Yeah.
Don't forget the key that guy there, Marlon Wayans.
Yeah. I tried.
I'm not gonna lie, I love Marlon Wayans.
I mean, I tried enjoying those. I did, but they were not great. To put it mildly. I mean, Joseph Gordon-Levitt as Cobra Commander.
Dr. Mindbender Commander.
Robin?
Yeah. Combining characters like that.
I didn't like it, especially because like I didn't like the portrayal of like Heavy Duty and like Breaker and stuff like that. Um, I didn't completely hate Retaliation,
Yeah.
just because I like the plot line.
Hmm.
Because I like Nick knows I got heavy into the Renegades cartoon back in 2012 because
Yeah.
the story and the plot of that was brilliant, and it kind of tied in with that feel. So I was like, all right, I can get behind this. Plus, like the roadblock, the Rock,
Yeah.
you know,
Same
like
thing.
him or hate him, he looked like a Joe, right?
Yeah.
He looked like a Joe.
Yeah.
The not Sienna Miller played Baroness in the first one. I forget her name, but Lady J. It didn't look like Lady J, but she looked like a Joe.
Yeah.
It didn't look like Flint, but it looked like a Joe. So I could suspend disbelief a little bit with the characters
Yeah.
because they looked like it. Whereas like the first movie, it's like none of you guys look like military specialists.
Yeah.
You have Brendan Fraser over here, like yelling at people with a beret on. Like
Yeah.
it's that one I didn't like. And the Snake Eyes movie, it just like broke my heart. I
Yeah.
was like,
I saw the first trailer for that, and I immediately thought, this is a movie I vow I will never watch in theaters.
Good.
I will never watch it on streaming. I will never watch it if it just happens to be on TV. If someone should put it on and I happen to be in the vicinity, I vow I will leave the room. I will not watch that movie in any fashion or form.
I mean,
I'm so sorry you had to go through that.
he puts on the costume for like literally 30 seconds at the end, and like the portrayal of Snake Eyes or whatever his name is before Snake Eyes, he's just like a dick. He's an asshole in it, and it's like, this isn't Snake Eyes. Like, you totally took Snake Eyes and just fucked him up. Like, you guys suck. And I didn't like the guy that portrayed Storm Shadow. I like the one that portrayed him in the first two movies. I liked his Storm Shadow a lot. Whereas this other one, I didn't like at all. I didn't like the girl who played Scarlet. Or even the one that played Baroness. There's a lot of misses for me.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
I'll be honest. I ended up not seeing the Snake Eyes.
Do you hear about?
You let out a groan before you even say it.
Definitely heard about that.
Are you a Transformers fan at all?
A little bit. G1 only. I don't go.
Okay,
I don't go for any of the extended stuff.
All right, so you like Rise of the Beast. You're gonna go see that movie, or?
I'll probably stream it.
Okay, I won't say anything then.
Why? Is there a big bad spoiler about it or something?
Kind of. Not about. Yeah, I mean, kind of. I don't want to say anything and spoil it for you guys if you don't want to be spoiled. But
why is he saved but not me?
Okay.
I already know where this is going because you've spoiled it for me. But no, if he doesn't, like, the reality is, like, spoiler alert. Don't.
Okay. Well, okay. Let me put it this way: I have not seen a Transformers movie since maybe the second one.
Okay.
So the chances of me seeing the movie are probably at somewhere between 0 to let's be generous, 20%.
So you don't care then?
Yeah, I don't care.
Okay. Well, first of all, go watch Bumblebee.
I did see that. Oh, I did see that.
Okay, that one's great. The first like 10 minutes is the best Transformers movie we've ever gotten.
Okay.
When we're on Cybertron.
Okay.
All right. But the end of Rise of the Beast, the main character, Noah, is sitting in, goes for a job interview to get a job.
Yeah.
And the guy behind him is talking to him and interviewing him, and he starts telling Noah things about the Transformers and Noah's like, how do you know that? The guy slides over a business card, and he's like, we'll be in touch, and like walks away. And the business card is G.I. Joe.
Really?
So they're trying to like fast track, set up a crossover.
Really?
They've done like 17 comic series that I have thoroughly enjoyed.
Yeah, so that was the groan, because it's like, stop trying to be the MCU. Everybody's trying to be the MCU. Cut the shit.
They're trying
be your own thing.
Yeah.
Again, hear me out though. we literally did. We've talked about this, and we'll talk about it a ton, and we all lived through it. We made that happen already in our brains. We played with those toys. We made them fight each other already.
Yeah.
I get it.
Like I said, there's a ton of comic series, and I've enjoyed every single one of them. Transformers versus G.I. Joe's. G.I. Joe's versus Transformers.
You know, I am fine if it's them teaming up and all that. I'm even okay if they make it so, you know, G.I. Joe reverse engineers a Transformer and now we have a Mask movie. I'm okay with that. I want a Mask movie. I need Mask in my life. I fucking miss Mask. But I want them. G.I. Joe needs to set its own legs.
Yeah.
It needs to stand up on its own. And if they're going to piggyback on Transformers, which is a flaky franchise as it is, and is not like on
Stable.
solid ground.
Yeah, it's not stable.
Yeah. I don't want them to be on the Transformers' backs and rely on them as a crutch to get started. Like G.I. Joe is compelling enough on its own.
Yeah.
That if they did the story, but it can be in a movie. Give me an origin story for Cobra Commander.
Yeah.
Right.
Like that would be.
Like take from the comics, used car salesman. Like give me that storyline.
That's an 8-part miniseries on Max, man. Like you're missing it, right? Like, but that's it. Is like we love it, right?
Yeah,
kids. Like we as kids loved it. We still love it as adults because we grew up with that stuff. G.I. Joe's today's kids.
Yeah,
I don't think they're gonna like. That's it. Is like you have to capture. Like the reason the toy line is successful, right, is because it's aimed at people like ourselves who grew up, who wanted the more articulated figures, who wanted the cooler things, who wanted to look like the things that we remember, right? Like that's why they've already got multiple versions of the figures. Like there's zero reason to do that except to tug on our heartstrings and get us to spend more money. Like you guys talked about, like we've like the toy lines have like a ton of vehicle driver figures already out. You know they're going to repackage them with the vehicles if the figures do well.
I don't think they will though.
But that's it. Is like if it doesn't do well enough, and I think we've talked about it a few other times. Like it has to do well enough. Whether it does well, like you could sell out of 1 million pre-orders, right? But if people trash it online, even if you sold 1 million pre-orders, if you don't sell it when it's not a pre-order, or people start trashing or stuff like that, they're not going to keep going with it.
Yeah.
Like it's happened in movies. It's happened with toy lines. Like, you know, Mike and his Silverhawks figures, he's screwed.
I don't have any Silverhawk figures.
But that's it. Is like, so G.I. Joe, they almost have to kind of make it look something else, right? Like they have to make it, and I agree with Mike, right? Like I agree that like it should be able to stand on its own legs because as an IP, it is phenomenal. It's got all of the things that you really want, right? Like it's got like we talked about it in this episode. It's got the Cobra. It's got the whole Cobra side and their weird technology that massively should not have existed back when, you know, you got G.I. Joes ride around in like Jeep Cherokee, or not Jeep Cherokees, the like actual Jeeps.
Yeah.
And Cobra's coming at them with like these weird futuristic like vehicles. And we were like, that's right. That makes sense. I don't care. Right. Like that's like, I could see this, like the weird, like the enemy of Cobra, which is weirdly like one of the more fan favorite like enemy lines ever of toys. Right.
Yeah.
Like, think about it. Like we all love, like I love, I'm usually a good guy. Like I love the good guys. Right. But like there were so many cool ass bad guys and everything from back in the day. Like think about it, like jumping over to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles for a minute. Like they had some of the most phenomenal bad guys. Shredder's not even in like the top 10. Weirdly, like think about it. They literally marketed a brain inside of an android and we ate it up.
Yeah.
A brain with little weird arms. It was creepy, right?
Yeah.
Creepier than what's his face with the chest and the cheetah print vest. But GI Joes, we loved Cobra. Like they were like this weird futuristic thing. Like they had the weird ranks, right? Like everybody had. But
I
in
think
like
that's the compelling thing about it, and why
it
like
is
Cobra is so much better than most other like bad guys is because you have your Shredder, you have your Megatron, you have your Skeletor, and you have your Beastman and your Merman and all that.
Yeah.
But you have G.I. Joe, you have Cobra Command.
Yeah.
You have Cobra Commander, who's the the commander. You have Destro, who's the arms dealer. Baroness is the counterintelligence. You got the Crimson Twins, who run security, and the Crimson Guard. You have Firefly, that's demolitions.
Mm-hmm.
They all have their purpose, and it's a structured
Everybody did.
command.
Yeah.
Whereas any other show, you have Megatron, then you have Skywarp, Starscream, and Thundercracker, and they're just three goons pretty much, and they could be faceless people, they could be nameless people. It doesn't matter because
there
they have
were
no
a number
purpose
of other
other than to
jets.
attack.
Yeah.
The Rainmakers, the Coneheads, like it's just a nameless entity. But whereas GI Joe, like it's like these are real people. They have feelings. You know what I mean? It's like it's completely different.
Yeah.
And that's compelling about it, and
It is.
that's what makes you care about the property.
I'm not
is
gonna
where
lie.
it makes sense.
These conversations have actually made me be like, I think, like I pulled out that bright orange missile. I'm like, man, I really want to go back and like play with these and watch them now.
Yeah.
I'm like talking about it. I'm like, shit, I want to go do that.
Yeah.
I should.
Yeah. And I mean, you really think about it too, and it's like you look at a bunch of like the old 80s cartoons and things like that or whatever. He-Man was essentially one powerful guy surrounded by a bunch of people who wanted to help him, defeat the forces of Skeletor. You had like the Star Wars toys. There's Luke Skywalker surrounded by a bunch of people that wanted to help him defeat Darth Vader and the Emperor. And like so many of the different toy lines were like that, like one leader and a bunch of guys who wanted to help. G.I. Joe was a team. You felt it was a team all going against this evil force that was trying to destroy and take over everything.
A good team, and a bad team, and they were teams. And you guys kind of said it really well. Everybody had their place. Everybody had their job.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're talking about the toys, and you're like, I want a mechanic, and I'm like, I don't think I've ever heard somebody say, I want a toy mechanic.
Yeah.
Right, but that's it. Is like that's like you like it. It sounds weird when you say it like that at its base level, but it's right.
Yeah.
You're like, I've got all these vehicles. Who's going to fix them?
Yeah. Or you think about it, it's like, oh man, they haven't come out with Doc or Lifeline yet. You mean the field medics? It's like,
who's going to fix them?
Yeah.
Nobody.
Can we talk about how I think they said that by the end of 2023 that they'll have over 100 figures released?
Yeah.
And we still don't have Doc or Lifeline? What the fuck?
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't worry. You got like multiple versions of different characters, though.
I know.
Yeah. But no medics.
Yeah.
No medics.
It's like, okay.
Well, you got replacements already, so you don't need to fix them.
You know what? They'll probably give us a Scalpel for the Cobra team before they give us a medic for
the Joes.
Mimite.
I mean, how many? Like, honestly, when they did the reveals the other day and they had another version of Snake Eyes, I was like,
Desert Snake Eyes. I was like, come on, no.
I'm like, dude,
but
on.
that Larry Hama. I mean, Tunnel Rat.
Yeah.
It was good.
Yeah, it was nice to see him come out. It really was. But don't you also get the feeling there should have been some characters that came out before him?
Yeah.
Well,
because he's movieverse, right? He came out with the movie.
Yeah.
So yeah, they should have. I'm curious to see if they're gonna go ahead with like Cobra La, and
that's true.
We got Serpentor, so I wonder if we're gonna get like Nemesis Enforcer, Pythona, and all them. Yeah, that'd be interesting to see. Yeah, but yeah, there's just so many characters that aren't out yet, and it's just they got a lot to pull from, a lot to draw from. But like, let's go to brass tacks, right? I want a Doc. Yeah, like I'd love a Lifeline, but Lifeline is in a bright orange suit. I want Doc because he's in military draft. Like I want, give me Doc, damn it. Yeah. And he better come with like a little medic kit too.
And obviously, the medikit has to open.
Yes, it has to open.
Yeah.
Yes, it must open.
Yeah, you got to have the little thing.
Yeah.
Whether the pieces inside are removable or not, like,
Yeah.
molded inside.
Yeah, dude. I'm shocked at the figures who haven't come out yet. Like, even just like you think about like on the original cartoon, you had Tripwire was on there. You had Airtight. You had Quick Kick was on the original series. You had Shipwreck finally came out. Yeah, you had there's some other ones. Blowtorch. He hasn't come out yet. It's like, where are all these guys? You know? It's like, how come these guys haven't been released yet?
And I get that they gotta parse them out and make the line last, and they can't do like 20 figures all at once. But like, we got a Big Ben coming out. Like,
yeah, it's like
that's a deep cut.
Yeah.
We're finally getting a Grunt who was part of the original 13. Like, finally.
Yeah. Yep.
Like I would love the original 13. I like the more military draft stuff. But again, I like the 90s crazy stuff. But like, there's so many characters. Like I don't need a Flash, right? I'll take one, but we don't need Flash or
Short
like
Fuse.
that. We're finally getting Short Fuse. We're finally getting a Hawk.
Yeah,
I said Hawk. It's not General Hawk, so I don't know which version we're gonna get.
Yeah.
But again, I'm crazy, man. I want some of the Deke stuff, like Pathfinder and Ambush. Yeah. Like I love those characters and those figures as a kid.
Yeah.
There's just Deep Six.
Oh yeah, but would he come with the shark or without?
Yeah. Yeah, right. The mechanical shark. That thing was awesome.
Yeah, it's like
no, mechanical shark. I'm thinking about the Cobra Eel version too. The yellow one.
Okay.
The yellow and blue one. That came with the mechanical shark.
Yeah.
That the mouth shot out a missile. That's what I was
Everything shot missiles.
Yeah.
That's why it was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're like a shark vehicle. Yeah, but like I'll take that, like Deep Six, right? Who's Wetsuit? Right now.
No, Wetsuit, yeah. Where's Wetsuit?
Who just came out? Who's coming out?
There's the Tunnel Rat.
Torpedo.
Torpedo, yeah.
Torpedo. Like, I don't care about him. He looks dumb. Like I don't need someone in just Scooby gear, right?
Yeah.
That's boring to me. So I'm passing on him. But I'll take a Wetsuit because I loved Wetsuit and Deep Six. Both of those as a kid, I loved them.
Yep.
I'll take those. Yeah. So it's just this weird choices. I'd love to see what goes on behind the scenes when they talk about character selection and stuff. And
it's because they go for the super popular character.
Yeah.
Right? Like they put out multiple versions of that.
Yeah.
Like that's how toys are done. Like again, to touch back, on any toy line, it's like you get like 17 versions of like the most popular character, and then like you guys talked about, you get the weird deep cuts for the fan favorites that people are like, oh, I can't believe they just did that. So like the window for like middle characters that are also massive fan favorites that people love just gets smaller and smaller, so they eventually will come out.
Yeah.
But like it's just feeding off of both ends until you meet in the middle.
Yeah. Yeah. I will admit, if ever they release a Cold Slither pack.
Oh, yeah.
Even if it's an exclusive, I want it. I want the Cold Slither.
That'd be awesome. Oh man.
I know it's stupid, but I want it. I really want it so badly.
Laser Viper and Night Viper. I want those two really bad. I love both of those.
So hear me out. If you're listening, people who make these toys, clearly people will buy them.
Yeah.
Just make them.
Yeah, they know that.
Oh yeah.
I've said this before. I'm like, the reality is what happens with the toy lines nowadays is they get so cool and like people do these things and they do them well, but then it takes forever for the toys to come out or whatever, and people get lost and like, or they miss it coming out, and like it's just, Mike's spreadsheet is actually the most like easy, like probably the most like logical way of like just keeping track of it. But for people who don't, it's going like you get lost in it.
Yeah.
You forget. You get like just put them out in a steady stream. I feel like that was the thing they did back in the day, was they had the steady stream of characters coming out consistently. Like, you talk about going to the toy store, and I'm like, it really did feel like every couple months they were releasing a new figure, right? Like, I mean, I'm sure we're morphing time frames in from our kid brains to now. So it was probably like once a year. I don't know. Like, I haven't actually gone back and looked at toy release schedules from the 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
Which is actually something weird that I haven't done. Because I research all that dumbass shit. Like, I do. I'm like people talk about it, like, you could really connect like people in movies, and I'm like, yeah, because I weirdly I've watched a ton of movies, and I have really good facial recognition, so I'm like, I've seen you before, and then I just dig deep, and I'm like, that's where I've seen you. And like, people who have like pop up in a TV show as a main character, I'm like, where do I know this from? And I go back and I dig in, and if I can't figure it out, I'll IMDb it, and I'm like, they had like a 2-episode stint on a show that I watched like all the way through, and I'm like, that's literally where I recognize them from.
Oh man.
And it's weird, but that's it. Is like, so like, you know, morphing time frames is probably like figuring out the time frame release schedule for stuff. Like, back when I was buying music and CDs and DVDs consistently and everything, like, everything had a release day. Everything had a release schedule. It was like, Tuesdays were new movies, and Thursdays used to be new video games, and everything like that. And it had a release schedule, because that was it. It was like, comics come out on New Comic Wednesdays now. Like, that's how it is.
Yeah.
Like,
let's see,
everything had that. And
to what you're saying, Nick, too, is like, I would be happy if I don't need a wave, right? I don't need a wave of 5 figures, because I don't want to spend that much money at once.
Right.
Spread it out a little bit more. Like, you know, just looking at like my spreadsheet real quick. The last Joe that I got was the Falcon CoverGirl Outback wave in April, the beginning of April.
Yeah.
And my next scheduled release is going to be the Bazooka Shipwreck Rock and Roll in September.
Oh, okay.
So it's like every 6 months.
That's a lot. Like, give me a figure a month, and I'll be happy.
Yeah,
like, if you give me 12 figures a year, 1 figure a month. Like, I don't know the logistics. I don't work for these companies.
Yeah.
But that's what I would love to see. Just keep steady stream, because the problem is with that is there becomes a lull.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you collect anything else, but a lull happens, and then I seek out something else to fill that void. And it might not be something I really care about or want, and then I'll get like buyer's remorse afterwards.
Yeah.
And I'll just be like, this sucks. Why'd I spend my money on that? You know?
Because I was literally waiting for something else.
Yep.
That's why that's why a lot of good TV shows get canceled, because they do that weird like Christmas break for a month and a half, and you're like, and then people are like, now with like streaming content, you're like, I binge watched an entire show and I completely forgot what I was doing 3 months ago.
Yep.
Like, there's been times where I open up my DVR and I'm like, that came back on. Like, I missed like 3 weeks of it.
Right.
But, you know, 1 or 2 figure, like once a month, 2 figures every 2 months, like 3 figures every 2 months. Like, keep that steady stream. And that, like, with like comics has it down, right? Like, you get a new issue, and it's on a scheduled time frame. You know, you get issue 1 in May, you get issue 2 in June. That's it. Like it's off a week or two, like maybe like one way or the other. Maybe it's 3 weeks, maybe it's 4 weeks, maybe it's 5 weeks, right? But you got that consistent schedule.
Yep.
So if you know, like, you know, you got I don't know.
It's like at least in America, why do you think football is the most popular sport? Because you can set your clock to it, right? You know, every Sunday, with the exception of a bye week, every Sunday is a game. That's why it's the most popular sport, is because you can easily set your schedule to it. Whereas like baseball, you know, 162 games a year. That's a lot to follow.
Like, like every other week, right? Like, you know, or every other day is like a game.
Yeah.
No, at least 5 days a week, typically, if not, you know, more with baseball. So it's a whole lot harder, and that's why it's not as popular, because people, you know, you can easily invest in football because it's 13 games, I think, for like a regular season. You know, every week, every Sunday, with the exception of a bye week.
I actually don't watch football.
Yeah, so you can easily be invested in it. Whereas like baseball and 162 games, it's hard to be invested and continue. I mean, I love baseball. I watch every night, so I don't have a problem. But most of America does. So and I think that's kind of the thing with figures, right? Like don't like that slump. You
Yeah.
feel it, right? You feel it, and it's you want to start branching out, and then if you do that, it kind of devalues the stuff you really care about, right? Because now you're getting oversaturated with plastic,
Yeah.
and like that's why like I'll look around my office and look in here, and I'm like, why do I have this? Why do I have that? I got too much of this. Why did I get that? So it's like. I think there was at one point where it was such a lull. I went out. I bought my first ever SH Figure Arts figure.
Oh yeah.
And it was just one of like the $35 Goku from Dragon Ball.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, he's cool. And I'm like, how the fuck did I get this? Like, I don't care right now. Whereas I got a shipping notice today that my Jada Toys Ryu from Street Fighter 2 is on his way, and I'm ecstatic because that thing looks freaking amazing. Like that. That's amazing. And that's like I don't want the Gokus of the world to tarnish my Ryus. Is kind of what it comes down to. Because
I mean, we both know Goku would win anyway
in a fight, but not if you put those figures together. I'm sure. It's like I mean, it's because my heart wasn't in it. I didn't care.
That's up to you.
Yeah. And that's another reason why I like my spreadsheet, right? Because there's times where I'll pre-order something to get a pre-order in, to have a pre-order. Yeah. And then I look back and I think like, I don't really want that. I just did it.
You're trying to fill that plastic
lock it in.
Yeah. And I did a lot,
Yeah.
Pre-order, it guarantees me it, and now I have a couple months to figure out if I want it or not,
Right.
And I did that with, because I got some of the Mandalorian figures. I'm a sucker for removable helmets. It's one reason why I really want masks to come back.
Yeah.
Give me a 6-inch scale mask figures. I don't need the vehicles.
Take the helmets on and off.
Take the helmets on and off, not swappable heads. Damn it. Helmets come on and off. And so I got some Mandalorian figures, right? I got like Boba Fett, Din Djarin, Casca Reeves, all them because they can cut their helmets off. And I'm like, all right, these are cool. I kind of like meh about them because like the show's okay, ebbs and flows, peaks and valleys of it. And then I pre-ordered the Fleet Commander because I'm like, oh, cool, another Mandalorian with a removable helmet. And I sat there and I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? And I canceled that one because it's like I don't really care.
Yeah,
he literally doesn't have a name. It's Fleet Commander.
Oh yeah,
he has a distinctive face, face portrait and stuff.
Yeah.
Like,
okay, so on your mask figures, what if it was removable heads, but you pressed a button or something and it lit up? The eyes lit up or something. No. Really?
Yeah, I want.
I
like where your head's at, but I want the Cobra Eel, the removable helmet. That thing looks badass.
Yeah,
I want removable helmets.
Okay,
especially for mask figures. And like I said, I don't care. I would love vehicles.
Yeah,
that'd be a logistical nightmare if they did 6-inch scale mass vehicles. But do what they did with the 25th anniversary line. Give me a mask figure here or there in the classified line.
Yeah.
Right? They did that with Matt Tracker. They released Specialist Matt Tracker. So I'll take that. Absolutely. But I wish they would do something because Hasbro keeps renewing the IP and stuff like that, the licenses for it. So, but they just don't do anything with it. And there's so many people like seething for new mask stuff.
Yeah. Maybe it's just a matter of finding the right idea or putting it out at the right time.
Yeah. I think sprinkling it with classified would work well. And that's all they have to do, right? Invest your money in one figure.
Yeah.
One figure. That's it. Throw him in the line and see how he sells. And if he sells like hotcakes, then you got your answer. And all right, shit, let's do a whole wave of masks.
I would argue you'd have to do 2 figures. Matt Tracker, Miles Mayhem. If you do those 2, see how they go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And I know they'll win. I know they're both winners.
Yeah.
But then we got the flip side of the coin, whereas if you go buy them and then they don't do well, now you're stuck with 2 characters that you can't complete. And I know that some
but that's fine. No, but that's fine, right?
But
Because
some people will be pissed.
At least they got a shot.
but it's different, right? Because it's one, it's one and done, right? So a lot of people will be okay with that because it at least with Matt and Miles, that's like the epitome of the two factions,
Right.
Venom and Mask, right? So I think people will be okay with that. Whereas it's like, oh, here's Matt Tracker, here's Hondo McClane, here's Bruce Soto, and then we're done. At that point, people would probably be like, what the hell? You're just going to give me 3 figures?
Right.
Plus, even then, I don't think that's too bad because it's Mask. There's a shit ton of them. Right? And it was like G.I. Joe, right? We got to go on a mission. Who is best suited for this? And, the computer would spit out the roster for the episode or and how it goes. Whereas, like, people would be pissed if they put out a Quicksilver, a Steel Will, Steel Heart, and a Bluegrass for Silverhawks, and people buy those 4, and they never get a Copper Kid.
Oh,
that's when people would get pissed.
Yeah, they'd lose their minds.
That's when people get pissed.
Yep, they'd lose their minds.
What do you mean they would?
But you know what I mean? Just like, like Thundercats, you can give me Lion-O, you can give me Mumra. But don't give me Lion-O, Panthro, Tigra, Chitara, and then not give me Wily Kit and Wily Cat.
Yeah.
Or Snarf.
Or Snarf, right? For $55. So that, I think that's where it comes down to, right? Matt and Miles, done. No problem. No one will get mad for just having those figures.
I can see that. Like, I can see that if it's the 2 characters that everybody wants, right?
Right.
Like if it's that. Yeah, okay. Especially if they're like, we're making these 2 characters. Maybe we'll do more later, but we're not setting expectation of you're going to get them all.
Right.
Right? Like, set those expectations. It's could it, it was kind of like when Sony kept renewing the IP for the Marvel characters that they have, and people are like, and it's like you have to make a thing every X amount of years or whatever the stipulations are and their IPs on the Marvel characters, and they're like, okay, we'll do that just so we don't lose it. And then then they did Into the Spider-Verse, and they were like, people were like, okay, you can kind of keep that for now. Right? Like,
but
that's it. It's like they still have Fantastic Four, and they're kind of, and it's like that last movie that they did, like it was all right. Like, but I know a ton of people that the Fantastic Four with Kate Mara and Miles Turner and
that was Fox.
That
was Fox.
Was it Fox? Oh, you know what? You're right.
Yeah, because Disney owns it now.
Mixing up. Sony has all the Spider-Man characters. You are correct. It was Fox. That was my bad.
Yeah.
Sorry, Sony. But yeah, it was Fox. They did that with that, and it was kind of like, yeah, I can see why you did that. Just to keep that for what?
Yeah.
I also don't think they need to set a precedent, though, right? Because they did it. They gave us Matt Tracker in the 25th, and they gave us no one else, and everyone was content with that. They wanted more, obviously, but they were content. It's not like you're gonna, bring out Ninja Turtles and here's Leonardo, and that's it. We're not giving you anyone else. That'll piss off a lot of people.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? That's the beauty of Mask is it's a bunch of characters, but they're not linked together as a cohesive team. Because the team always changed every episode. So
true.
But that's where I'm at. That's. So you talk about like the flag being like your white whale or whatever. Right?
Oh yeah.
If you want to talk about white whale for like modernized IPs, there's 2 IPs that I'm dying for modern figures of.
Okay.
And that's Mask.
All right.
Mask. And here's a deep cut.
That's new.
Dinosaucers.
Dinosaurs?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I haven't thought about that in ages.
Yeah.
Wow.
I love that show. I love that show as a kid. When I was a kid, they had the Dino Power Hour, where it was Dinosaurs and Denver the Last Dinosaur back to back.
Oh,
and I love that. And then as an adult, you find out the only toys they made of Dinosaurs were released in Brazil for a limited run. And if you can find any one of them in mint condition with their box, it's like $1,200.
Whoa.
And that's if you can find them. If you can find them. They're all over. You can find like here or there, like 2 or 3 on eBay, but it's like reproduction weapons or reproduction boxes and stuff. Yeah. And even those go for $800.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm dying for an updated series of that,
I personally I would love more Dino Riders, but that's me. Right?
So we're kind of getting that though with the Cyberzoic, Beast of the Cyberzoic.
Yeah.
Third party company. They're doing realistic dinosaurs, not like Jurassic Park dinosaurs, but realistic dinosaurs. And they had that line. I forget what they called it, but the new line coming out is Cyberzoic, which is pretty much Dino Riders.
Yeah.
So that's coming, and that's why I don't care if it's third party. Like, love them or hate them. Like, have you heard of Ramen Toys?
That sounds vaguely familiar.
So they made their claim to fame by taking Centurions and kind of making their own. Like, they're Centurions, 100%, but they're named differently, and they're kind of like they don't have the license to the IP.
Oh, okay.
I'm fine if someone does that because they're doing great. Like the Engine of Vengeance failed for Hasbro.
Yeah.
So they're making the Ramen Racer, which is the same thing, but for half the price.
Oh, wow.
And it looks more like a Dodge Charger because they don't have to worry about licenses because they're based out of like China or whatever and all that. And they're just going nuts with these IPs that they just don't have licenses for, which I'm fine with. Yeah, because one of them is a 6-inch Brave Star figure.
Oh, wow!
Called the Marshall, and he's got a removable helmet, and the helmet's also got the goggles, the visor that comes down, or not helmet, but his hat, his cowboy hat.
Yeah,
he's got his guns, removable vest armor and stuff. It looks beautiful. I cannot wait for that to drop a pre-order. I'm going to be all over that.
Wow.
But you know what I mean? You look at the time we live in right now, all the IPs out there. You got Boss Fight Studios is giving us Fraggle Rock figures, 5-inch scale. I cannot wait. I got a couple of those pre-ordered. DNA Toys is giving us Battletoads and Earthworm Jim figures.
Wow.
Like we're at the peak right now of IPs.
That's why I'm saying.
Chicken Fried Toys just announced they get a license for Cops and Crooks. But that's like 4-inch figures though.
Oh, okay.
But I would take 6-inch Cops and Crooks figures, sure.
Yeah.
But the fact that they got that and all these IPs are coming back and like we're just getting inundated with all this stuff. It's beautiful. Now give us Mask and give us Dinosaurs.
Oh man.
That's what I'm clamoring for.
Some cool stuff. Dang.
Oh yeah.
I'm way behind. What I've learned here is I'm way behind on news in the toy world. I'm way behind on that. But no,
it's okay.
Yeah.
If it makes you feel any better, most of my toy news comes from Mike.
Okay.
Like Mike is like, he's like, look what dropped, and I'm like, because I've got other stuff like on lock. And I'm like, I'm on that. Like, and I get excited for this stuff, but I'm not like, I'm not watching like the pre-orders consistently. I'm not like, I don't have a spreadsheet of pre-orders. Right?
Here's the thing: is my personal social media accounts are mainly for toy news.
Okay,
it's to see what's coming out and all the news ahead of time, so I can jump on pre-orders before they sell it. Because I mean, the Cobra Eel sold out in 2 minutes for pre-order.
Yeah,
so. That's why, like, my social medias, I got, like, family and a couple of friends. I mean, I probably got, like, 200 friends on there. But most of them, I don't even – I'll scroll right by. And it's the groups and the forums that have the toy news that I follow. And that's what I care about because it's amazing. Like, seeing this stuff, it gets me so happy. Like, I my wife doesn't get this at all. Like, I got a buddy who collects and his wife does too. And they're like deep into collecting. And I got another buddy that's the same way. My wife doesn't get this stuff at all.
Yeah.
Like she does not understand this hobby. She doesn't understand the cartoons, the art, stuff like that. It's not her thing.
Right.
Which is perfectly fine. But I've explained to her, I'm like, here's the thing. Life sucks. When you get down to it, right? As an adult, you have work, you have bills, something breaks, it's all on you, the stress of that. If you
Yeah.
have kids, raising a family, sickness, all that stuff, life sucks. And what this stuff does for me is it brings that nostalgia of a kid and the feelings from when I was a kid, when I didn't have to worry about heartache or pain or bills or stress. And it was just the connection with these figures, the properties, and the pure joy and excitement.
That's it.
And that's how I explain it to her. I'm like, that's what this is. This is my escape from the bullshit of life.
Right.
You know, not like life's bad, but you know, there's a lot of stuff that gets you down and beats you down as an adult, and sometimes you need that escape.
Different.
Yeah. No, I get it, man. I get it.
Yeah, and if I spend $1,200 a year on toys, that's you know, if that helps me, and like, you know, it's therapy. Boy. It's therapeutic. You know what I mean? Like,
bargain with work to get paid ahead. You know, 2 weeks ahead of time. So
yeah, exactly.
You know, right?
I mean, and I know most of us, it is an addiction, right? Yeah, it feels good. It's that escapism. You know, it's that rush, that dopamine that you get from opening a new figure. And you know, for the longest time, I bought those Joes and I just put them on the shelf static, and I was happy with it. But then one day, I think it was when I got Falcon. And I was like, I gotta fix this somehow. I gotta make it so it doesn't look so derpy. And I posed him. And I was like, holy shit, that's amazing. So then I moved him over and I grabbed Outback and I posed him, and I'm like, fuck. And then I grabbed Duke and I started posing them all out on the shelf. Yeah. And they're in these dynamic poses. And I'm like, okay, that's amazing. That makes me happy. And it's that shit that gets me giddy, you know?
Yeah.
Like the He-Man origin line, right? You know, I got He-Man with the original, the old head sculpt.
Oh yeah,
because they did like a modern one, and then they did the throwback classic one.
Yeah,
and I have him and Battle Cat. And when I walk into my office and I look at that, I giggle because it's like that looks like the original one. It gives me all the feels.
Yeah,
you know, it's stuff like that that makes it all worthwhile.
Yeah, no, I get it. I get it. It's like. The artwork I do, a lot of it I deal in. My wares are heavily nostalgia based. You know, it's like I try to tap into a feeling. You know, with people, I want them to my part of my goal is to get people to feel something when they look at my artwork, and so they'll be like, "Oh, this is cool!" Like my villainous villains line. It's the bad guys. You get the bad guys from childhood, but you also get the toys. You know, and like sometimes people will be like, I had that figure. You know, they tell me about it and stuff like that. Like there was I did a Boba Fett where he's got Han Solo wrapped up and he's using his blowtorch to like melt the figure. And I
saw that one. Yeah, and that was awesome.
Yeah, and that was a 1985 Power of the Force Han Solo figure. And I chose it because I thought it was a terrible figure. I was like, this thing needs to be set on fire. But
you could definitely need to be set on fire.
Yeah, and you know, and that's what's so great too. Like when people just connect through the artwork, hopefully it's good enough for them to buy. But secondly, you know, like just to get them to feel that thing that gets that nostalgia button going, but also get them to smile and remember those good feelings they had when they experienced those things for the first time. Yeah.
Right. And that's the beauty of art, right? It invokes emotion.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Not only from you, you know, bleeding through your mind and your heart down to the pen on the paper.
Yeah.
But the consumer who's buying it from you because they see that and it clicks with them. And I think I raved to Nick a couple weeks ago when we were talking about getting you on and your Freddy Krueger.
Yes.
Oh,
and I saw that and I'm like, holy shit. I'm like,
he was so stoked.
His all-time favorite, horror franchise is Nightmare on Elm Street, and you know, Freddy, like the emotion and like the movement that you put into that piece, and I was like, oh, like it just, I have an artistic eye because I mean I used to draw nowhere near like what you do and stuff like that. I never could grasp shadows and depth and all that stuff, you know. That's why I do a lot of like digital. That's why I do a lot of digital art now because it's a lot easier for me. but like I was looking at him, like just the way like the gloves position and everything, it was poetic and perfect. And I'm like, God damn it! And then you're like, I'm finishing this up. I think I might make prints of it. And I'm like, I think I commented, I'm like, yes, please, because that thing is beautiful.
Oh, thank you, thank you. I mean, see, like horror is something that like that presses the nostalgia button for me because when I was a kid, my mom forbid horror movies in the house. But who was the kid waking up early, and trying to find something horror to watch or VHS tape or something like that, or because we had like the premium cable channels. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
something on HBO or Showtime or Cinemax or something like that. And even the bad horror movies. Even the bad horror movies were good, like Night of the Creeps, the Romero movies, Chopping Mall, things like that.
The
It's
House.
just like, yeah, exactly. And it's just like,
Yeah.
aside from the Friday the 13th and all those movies, it's like a lot of that old stuff really like takes you back and gives you those feelings like, God, I remember when I used to sneak and watch this.
Yeah,
It is
I used to
like,
be scared of all that stuff as a kid. I did not like it. I had a thing with like burn victim stuff when I was a kid. Like it freaked me out to no extent.
Yeah.
And then one day I said, you know what, I'm gonna do it and I'm gonna watch it. And I watched Nightmare on Elm Street and I was like, this is fantastic. And then I started watching the other ones.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, it's a comedy. Like I like how they did it. The first one they took themselves seriously, even though Johnny Depp's running around with a cut off shirt.
Yeah.
And then all the other ones they kind of leaned into the tongue in cheek stuff. And I always talk to my buddy about this because my favorite out of all of them, I think it was the third one. Was that Dream Warriors?
Dream Warriors.
With the kid with like the hearing aid and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
So they're driving around in the van,
mm-hmm.
right? Trying to like get out of there. And they keep coming around and circling back. And they're like, what the hell's going on? And they keep circling back. And the kid's in the back seat and he falls asleep and he's trying to figure out how to get out of there. And he's got a map. And we all had that moment where like, a road map is like too huge and, you can't fold it back up and that nightmare. And the road map kept growing and growing and growing. And it consumed the whole inside of the van. And he's trying to like push through it. And he sees like on the map writing that says, "You're fucked." and then his friends wake him up and they're like, hey, where are you? What does the map say? And he goes, the map says we're fucked. And that was the end of the scene. And that's like all time favorite.
Oh yeah. Oh,
my buddy and I quote that all the time, and then we'll just like look at each other and be like, "I'm your boyfriend now, Nancy," and shit like that. So good.
Oh yeah.
So good.
Yeah, I mean, like stuff like that. It's just like sometimes I'm like the horror movies of today. It's like, don't get me wrong, the effects are probably better, things like that. But it's just there's a certain charm about that old stuff.
Yeah,
it's a different, like we've talked about it before, but it's a different type, right?
Yeah,
it's a different type of movie. Like a lot of the things now are like like they're true story based or whatever to make them seem weirder or whatever.
Yeah,
or it's just a straight
gore fest.
It's torture or gore or like the based on a true story or whatever.
Yeah,
and that's what it is. That's what most of the horror movies are now.
Yeah.
They're not something like
imaginative.
Yeah,
like it's not.
Yeah,
and that like. Ironically, we're talking about give us dino saucer toys, not like create something new. We're like, give us the old stuff, but then we're like, hey, the new movie, it's I think it's a direction. Like if they gave us something really cool that was like, I think that's kind of like what Rob Zombie did when he had House of a Thousand Corpses, like Devil's Rejects. It wasn't all like the stuff that was coming out at the time. It was a throwback to Texas Chainsaw Massacre and all those other things, and it was I really enjoyed them. Like probably way more. Like the first time I watched House of a Thousand Corpses, I was like, I don't know how I feel about that movie.
Yeah,
and then I was like, somebody was like, hey, let's go to the movies, or I want to go see this movie. I was like, I literally watched it like 2 days ago, and they were like, we're going to go watch it. I was like, all right, fine. So I was like, I don't know. Like it was like I weirdly fell in love with the movie after that. I was like, I don't know what happened that first time, but maybe it was like seeing it on the big screen again or whatever. It was just something different about it. I don't know.
Sometimes it's those repeat viewings that get you. So,
It is.
Yeah.
sometimes
It
it
is.
is.
And I was just super stoked about it. I was like, I love this movie.
Yeah, whether you don't get it the first time or you miss something, and
Yeah, it was
then,
like
you
it was
know.
just like that something clicked. Like there's all sorts of stuff, but I mean, he's right. Like that Freddy piece was pretty awesome, and I'll be honest, I've stared at the Aqua Teen Hunger Force piece a number of times in the video. That show has like a weird place in my heart, especially the Mooninites. Like they're just like
Oh yeah.
right. Like it was a great show. It has so many like our era, right? Like I'll say it like my brother's 8.5 years younger than me, and he likes some of this stuff entirely because I was letting him watch it with me when he was way too young.
Yeah.
Like way too young. And so he likes a lot of it, so he's got that, but like his friends have no clue what it is, right?
Yeah.
Like his friends have like no idea what some of that stuff was. Like, but you know, Adult Swim at that time was solid gold.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah.
So
Harvey Birdman.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh
yeah.
Right.
Space Ghost
Like,
Coast to Coast. That stuff is gold.
Right. Like you got you bring it all back, and it was just phenomenal stuff. So like when I saw the piece, I was just like I was like, you don't see that too often, right?
Yeah.
And that's kind of like when I go to a lot of conventions.
Yeah.
A lot. I love checking
Like
out
an
the art
unhealthy
to
amount.
find.
Like an unhealthy amount, right?
Yeah. Like, luckily, like he said, his wife doesn't understand like his toy obsession. Luckily, my partner, she's like, I've never been to one. I was like, let's go. Like, and I was like super excited.
Yeah.
And so like, but I go. I've been going for years. I absolutely love them. Mike's right. I've gone to like anything that I could go to and spent probably way too much money at. Like I have more art than I could probably ever display. To the point where I ended up personally buying, like, you know how you have an art folio,
Oh yeah.
and you've got your 11x17s in there,
Yeah.
and you've got like a stack of them, right? And like you flip it, and, like I have one of those for other people's stuff. Like I got an 11x17 and a 12x18 just for other people's stuff that
Yeah.
I cannot hang on the wall physically because this is weirdly one of the most blank walls in my house. Like I just have tons of it and I love it, and it's because, like you said, the way it comes out of you're looking for that response, and those are the pieces I buy where it has that response.
Yeah.
And those are the ones that I love, and I'm like, I give everybody all the credit. Like I can't, like I have admitted it here, and I'll admit it a million more times in my life. I'm no artist, right? Like I somehow can screw up stick figures, but playing around with images and stuff like that, I used to be all right, but I couldn't create anything.
Okay.
Right. So that's why I think that might be why I love it more, is because I'm like, I could never do anything like this in my life.
Yeah.
So I love
Makes
it.
sense.
Right.
Yeah. I get that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's art is a tricky thing. Like when I was a kid who was in love with the things I saw on TV and in movies, and I was the kid who was quiet, but I wanted to find a way to communicate what I saw, but not just communicate it, but like in some cases add to it. Like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if it was something like this? You know, like kind of an addition. And when I would draw and everything like that, I mean, that's how I communicated what I internally getting that stuff out. But it's also, I mean, when I was a kid, that's how I made friends, you know, because I was quiet, and I would draw things for kids. Like, hey, what are you doing? What are you doing? You know, they'd see me drawing, and next thing you know, I was getting commissions in elementary school for lunch money.
Oh,
you know,
wow.
draw.
Nice.
I'll be honest.
That's cool.
Yeah,
that's another deep cut in my brain. Like there was this kid who like moved to my elementary school in like I'm gonna say third or fourth grade. I can't even like it. I'm cutting it back.
Yeah.
But the kid could draw so well. Like I paid him stuff, right?
Yeah.
And I have actually had a few friends over the years who are really artistic. They are really like they're really great at drawing stuff. Like one of my friends, who weirdly also fourth grade, he moved to town and he was really good at drawing like cartoonist stuff. Like, and then he like kind of morphed into like video, like a lot of the SquareSoft stuff and like anime, and then like moved on to anime. He
Yeah.
was a phenomenal. Like I've got pieces still because I don't throw anything. I've never like really cleaned out, right? Like I talked about it before. Like I pulled He-Man. I pulled all my action figures from a yard sale because I couldn't see them go, right?
Yeah.
Like that's like that stuff. So I've got art from kids and friends I've had for years over the years, and I have, like you said, you were getting commissions in elementary school, and I'm like, I'm pretty like that kid who like he moved to town, then like moved within the town, and then he kind of popped back up. Like I don't know. Anyway, but he was really great at art, and like I think I paid him like $5 or a couple bucks or whatever,
Yeah.
something like that, for him to draw me. Like he had created like some of these like creatures, I'll call them, because they weren't like monsters, and like one of them was like this weird reptilian guy, and I was like, I don't know, I was like enamored with him. So I may or may not still have that art piece, but I definitely had him draw me something, and it was just like, that's phenomenal for like in an elementary kid. Like I look back and I'm like, I couldn't do that good now, and I'm 40. He was doing it at like 10.
Oh wow.
And I'm like, dang, kid.
Yeah.
Right? I don't know if he went on to do graphic art. I don't know if he kept up with it. Like I don't know. Like we didn't really talk a whole lot. Like, but did that thing. Like he moved to town. He was a quiet kid, and he would just like, it was like an after school program was when I first met him. So he was there and he was just drawing his art, and I was like, I don't know. I probably had the Simpsons Sing the Blues on my Walkman or whatever, right? And I walked like, I don't know, and I saw him drawing, and I started talking to him, and he like, so he was like super ecstatic to like talk to people because
Yeah.
he was like new to town and everything like that too. So, but it kind of plays off of that, and it's awesome.
Mm.
Like it's great that you guys do that stuff, and how it makes like, I thank you guys for that stuff because I don't know, I love it.
Well,
I think
I
a lot
love
of people
hearing that.
do.
I love hearing that.
Yeah.
I do. Very cool. Very, very
Yeah.
cool.
It is.
All right, Jamie, we've kept you for like 3 hours. Good. Honestly, I think we go for another 3, but it is after midnight over here. And,
Oh yeah.
we're dragging on, or I
yeah,
am at least. Nick seems to be pumping good.
I wasn't really looking at the time or anything. All right.
No, that's good, man. We're having fun.
Like,
Honestly, I didn't start looking at the time either until my eyes started burning. I was like, all right, what time is it?
No.
I'm a night owl, so like it being like quarter after midnight, I'm like,
yeah,
whatever, man. Like I'm fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate it. This was a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah.
Good G.I. Joe talk. Good cycle through talk.
Yeah.
Before you go, tell everybody where they can find you, what you got going on, all that fun stuff.
All right. Well, you can find me on Instagram at Jaime.Coker_artist. That's JAIME.Coker, COKER_artist. Everyone misspells my first name. You can find me on Facebook at Jaime Coker Creations LLC. I'm on there. Let's see. I would say the best place to find me is at a convention near you. I am booked for conventions pretty much the rest of the year. So I'm going to be out and about and around and everything. I make my convention announcements on Instagram and Facebook. So if you follow me there, you'll see where I'm going to be. I'm going to be working on, I got some projects I'm working on that I can't really talk about that much right now. But if you follow my Instagram and Facebook, you'll always see the cool stuff I'm drawing. I love showing people the things I'm working on. And hopefully I'll get to meet you and love to talk to people. So, yeah. come by, say hi, check it out.
Go buy some art.
Oh yeah,
absolutely awesome.
And that, folks, brings us to the end. Thank you for tuning into Your Childhood's Trash. We hope you enjoyed our conversation. If you liked the topic and it brought back some memories, hit the like button and comment letting us know. Don't forget to connect with us on all the socials and check ycwcast.com for any new ventures. See you on the next episode. Same trash time, same trash channel.
And through the magic of editing, you never left.
there we go. There you go.
That's
awesome.
I think we're all in this position or something like that, and we'll just like split.
Yeah.
We'll splice it back or whatever.